Ladies and gentlemen, it is just about time for us to begin our casting stream. We are a couple hours later than the previous days of the week have started, but we don't have a fixed starting or ending time here. It's a little bit less, it's a little bit more loose, a little bit less stringent than that. So here we are doing some casting, and then we're going to do some bug fixing. Might do a little bit more casting than development this time. It's kind of been trending in that direction as the week has gone on, but there's a lot of games to get through. However, I do probably just want to sit around and cast new patch games all day. So if I run out of those, or I feel like it's time to start doing development, then you know what's going to happen. But the Twitch prediction is already up for those who are gambling inclined. You can check that out at twitch.tv/Pernigo, and you can bet on who you think is going to take the first matchup. You got about a minute to do so. It is Cannoli as the Zerg player, Doglived as the Protoss player, and the map is going to be Air Gap. We've got 4 games to get through, so we'll take a look at them. We are, of course, looking for all manner of thing when it comes to the general, like the new setup for some of the games and stuff, how the races are working. But I just also want to make sure that everybody knows here at the outset, if you like these streams, you want to support what I'm doing, donate on streamlabs.com/Pernigo. It will automatically get you to the tipping page, and there you can send me $3. Or I think that's the minimum donation, but you can send me $3 if you want, or more. We appreciate that. We're looking for $50 every day we do this kind of stream. I don't think that we're going to hit that every single day, and we haven't, but we have hit it more often than I thought already. So I'm grateful for the support, and it will mean more streams like this in the future. So with all that said, let's get started with the day's games. We've got Cannoli in the top left as our pumpkin Zerg, but in the bottom right, it's Doglived, a man who narrowly was denied the throne room stage in his first ever Acropolis number 3, by the Shambler, no less. And he is out in the bottom right as our Dark Lavender Protoss. I was going to say Japanese Violet, but it's a little bit too vibrant for that. It's a schnazzy color. So it does look like Doglived is already starting to harvest a little bit of Vespene gas, but we don't yet know what that means. I suppose it could be like a Hierophant opener or something. Drops his gateway, and it will be a fairly early pool for Cannoli, as he is not interested in harvesting Vespene just yet. And that's a very different style than what Cannoli is known for. He's known as the Hatch First Maniac, the Hatch First Legend. And I do think that that's pretty interesting as a little pivot here for him, because he didn't always go Hatch First every game, but during Acropolis 3, he absolutely did, and he managed to make it all the way to the throne room stage doing that. So that's kind of wild. 2-gate for Doglived, so fairly basic stuff, fairly standard stuff. I don't actually know if he knows this map very well, because it is a map that Cannoli himself made, but his gateways are away from the ramp, so we'll see if that really comes into play. Adds like maybe a second of travel time for most of the units that come out of the gateway to get down to the natural, and of course thus all the way to the enemy's base. Cannoli's going to go ahead and expand the Kagra towards that ramp, and see him about grabbing himself a... Yep, there it is, Larvosk Cesiant. Grab that extra larva, makes a lot of sense. And he's going to make a pair of Zeths, actually 2 pairs of Zeths to scout out his opponent. The Hierophant about halfway complete, so Doglived is totally fine here. He hasn't been delaying his options there, and oh, look at that, Doglived is actually here, and he's following on the Twitch stream. Appreciate that, homie. I saw that you had mentioned earlier that you sometimes were the type of person who would come in, and then the stream would basically end as soon as you showed up, so I appreciate that you have gotten here, and you're now following. We are casting your games, so we'll see how this one goes, as the Hierophant is already sounding off and is going to go ahead and take some damage here. Just a small little bit of hull damage, but it will be able to chase down some of those Zeths, and it doesn't really look like, you know, 2 Zethicores should be able to kill a Scribe here. You can just drill it around and such. Good micro so far from Doglived, not losing that Scribe at all. A little bit of mining time, but it's pretty quick to get back to the swing of things, and a Zealot also pops out. Now, Cannoli does scout that it's a Grand Library. He's got another round of Zethicores heading out with a Hatcherosk already on the way for him in the natural, and he will be going for that Vornath Pond. Now remember, this is post-changes. We are going to have a good, healthy amount of modified changes for both Protoss and Zerg in the series. If we end up seeing a Terran at some point, which I don't think I have replays for, we could even see some of the add-on changes. But it'll be interesting. I think Shopkeeper Dog should send me his replays, honestly. I don't know why I don't have them. SMH. But Grand Library is done now for Doglived. This is actually the same sort of build order that Doglived used specifically to defeat Jakulansky one time inside the battlement stage of Acropolis 3. A similar sort of setup. So now that we have that going on, it does make me wonder, well, maybe the Cantavis is going to work out really nicely. These Zethicores were burrowed. It doesn't look like Doglived knows where they are exactly. Have 4 gates coming in over here. Our 4th gate, I should say, coming in as the 3rd one finishes. So this is a very committed early push kind of thing, right? Like, Doglived is not planning to expand. The Zethicores don't get far enough to confirm that, but maybe Cannoli can still sniff that out based on the unit count. And the first, obviously the first combat unit that comes out of the Grand Library is a Cantavis, but after that it's Atreus, which is interesting. Will take a little bit longer for those guys to make it across the map. Zealot Ecclesiast popping out of the gateways, so one of the things that I kind of like about how Doglived is rotating his army, and I was just about to point out if he didn't do this, I was going to be like, hey, wait, what are you doing? Because this kind of thing allows you to make sure that you're not being pushed past in the middle. There's a chance that they're wrapping around the left lane, but it's an interesting sort of deviation nonetheless. Catching a couple of quads in the middle of the map. Cannoli's actually happy about this as he is making his Calcure Lake, but he doesn't have a good standing army right now, and so even though this is wasting some of Doglived's army time chasing down units that he doesn't need, there's an opportunity here for him to just overwhelm. In fact, I really don't see how all of these Zets and Quas are going to be able to stop this onslaught. Doglived can obviously just storm them. And the Circuit is going to finish, but he can try to focus this down with Zealots. Where's the Storm? It is going to be on that ball of Quas, and not that much money here to turn them into anything else. Of course, we do have a single Vorticore helping to rend some armor, but you could just see how quickly the Storm helps dismantle this position for Cannoli. This looks like it'll be an open and shut case, although the Cantavis is kind of giving its life away, but Cannoli only has Zethicores, and even though there's not that much shield sustain over here, and as Zealot does even get picked off by the Quas, the reinforcements coming in are definitely going to be more than enough to deal with just a couple paltry pool units. You can see in desperation, Cannoli pushes the Rillarocor button, but the Cantavis is chasing down workers while being chased down by Zethicores. That's a swagger to it, in my opinion, but it does look like that Cantavis with 12 kills and having dealt almost 1,000 damage. Oh no, he might actually stay alive, which is just, you know, insult to injury, but I think this game is just about over. Pretty unfortunate there. Cannoli not quite able to make the one base Calcure Lake Rush work. He did make an expansion, but it obviously wasn't quite enough. And so the first game will go the way of Doglived, which is about how we expected. We do have 3 more games to cast on that map with these 2 players, so it's not over yet. We'll see what's behind the next door. Yeah, I was pretty sure that the way that that was working out, it was not looking like it was going to be an easy one for our Cannoli. But that's pretty sensible, honestly. Like, as Doglived, you know your opponent is a little bit on the cheesier side, so just hit him with something that's a lot more, I guess you could say, like, focused on the offensive, something that's a little bit, you know, earlier hitting in terms of the timings. It makes a lot of sense. I'm a fan of that play, even though I do think that there's a chance that you could get overwhelmed economically by somebody who is playing a bit more defensively and a little bit less tech rushy. I do believe this might have been like Cannoli and Doglived's first games on the new patch, so that also kind of stands to reason that maybe there'd be some differences going on here. But as we get into game number 2, it is going to be Cannoli in the top left, Doglived in the bottom right. Same colors. It is, I promise this is a different replay. Same spawns, same colors, but it is indeed going to be a different round. So we're going to see how that one shakes down in the interim. Just to confirm, by the way, I went in and deleted the first file. They just prefer these colors and they've got the same spots. What can I say? Gateway and a little bit of Vespine gas. Cannoli's pool is a bit slow. Oh, no, it's not even a pool. It's going to be a Kagrant. I was going to say his pool's a little bit slower, but he's actually going Larvosk Opener, which does make some sense and is a common thing. So I do think that overall, as we get back into the Doglived versus Cannoli prediction, you guys have another chance to gamba that on Twitch. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be maybe a little bit more interesting than the last one, although Doglived doesn't seem like he's interested in changing up his strategy. He will be going for that first unit Hierophant. Cannoli's already changing things up. He's not going to go pool first. He's going to play a little bit more defensively, most likely, a little bit more economically minded, aiming towards that mid-game, perhaps. I do think rushing to the lake is an attractive option for Zergs just because they don't really know about it yet. And now Cannoli's going to go for the den. Now, does he dare rush all the way to the swamp through the scab? I don't know. Probably not. But it's a funny idea. Teth Zoracor's out at like 6 minutes. Doesn't really feel like it's realistic, but you never know. Droleth Scout, that's something we haven't seen in a hot minute. I know Zeke doesn't do that very often anymore. Maybe he never did at all. So double Hierophant. Those are definitely units that can help deny scouting, and they can also help just with these early skirmishes, enchanting and powering individual units. We'll see how it goes, but definitely an easy way to bop this Droleth before it can really scout much of anything. Not going to catch Doglived sleeping, so he's able to stomp that one out, stand on top of the burrowed unit to reveal it in Cosmonarchy. And the Grand Library is on the way. So some Izira cores are here for Cannoli. I don't really like those in the head-to-head versus the Hierophant. I actually think that going after some Hydras at this stage would be way better. Just because you can't really boss around the Hierophant with Izira cores. Like, they can't really kill each other, but the Hierophant can just kind of ignore the Izira cores for a while. And this is exactly what I was worried about happening. Sure, yeah, you can try to burrow, but, you know, he can just do this. And then you're in deep doo-doo. So the Izira core comes out. It's not going to do that much damage, so the Hierophant can kind of ignore it, like I said, but maybe there's enough micro for Doglived. He's not too interested anymore. Although I do think with these reinforcements, he really could have contested that there. A couple Hydras do end up popping out in short order. And Doglived wants to wait for his Cantavis before he does anything too crazy. It looks like it is a carbon copy of his last build, so no surprises there. What's going on, Neuchern? And we do indeed have Shambler and Neuchern in the chat. I think overall, the fact that the Hydra count is up here, this tells me that Cannoli should be able to fight off the Gateway Army a little bit easier. He is actually expanding his defensive network before he goes for a natural, so that's interesting. Definitely worried about some kind of, you know, a heavy one-base pressure, which is exactly what Doglived is doing again. This map doesn't really have super defensive naturals either. I think the fact that the second pathway exists definitely makes it a little bit more biased towards attackers in the early game if you don't actually have an entrenched position. Maybe if this was like, if this was expanded one tile down, that might be a different story, because then you've got like the thin angle in and the wide angle in. And the wide angle is closer to the ramp. You could even decide to make it even more defensible by making the wide angle further away from the ramp. But that's a little bit more awkward for unit pathing, even like getting your own army out of the base, right? So I think it would make the most sense if the... it would make the most sense, in my opinion, if the little pathway here was a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller. Nonetheless, Cannoli's going to use its width to a great extent right now, and he will be stormed in the process, but Izira cores are a lot hardier than, you know, the Quas were. The Hydras, on the other hand, are getting shellacked by it. So even though this looks like it was a lot better for Cannoli, he's not going to be able to win decisively enough to maybe push across the map, as long as Doglived doesn't stick around with a bad fight. Now, he does end up continuously tagging that front line. He wants to get the Storm onto the Hydras, continuing to try to soften them up. And Cantavis does have a little bit more energy. Now the Hydra's kind of diving backwards as the Izira cores are finishing up back in the main base. And you can see already, Doglived is thinking about moving up the ramp, but there is a Circuith, and the Cantavis frontlining is definitely not what you want. Although, he does start to be saved and spared because of the auto-target. Yeah, you need to go after that Cantavis. You cannot let your workers be killed like this. 2 workers already going down as they try to swarm him. You've stung him like a beehive, and he will eventually go down. Hydra's coming back in from the bottom rope there and finishing things off, as there are some reinforcements. The Amaranth brutally removes an Izira core from the game, but that's going to be interesting. A Larvosk and a Circuith with this secondary Kagrant. That's neat, right? Because you look at that and you think to yourself, yeah, I need more production right now. There's the expansion going down. We still have no Nexus for Doglived despite having the money. So he's thinking about what he wants to do next, and I guess he's been forced to delay his victory for a little bit. And Cannoli doesn't have another tech node just yet, so that's another thing of concern. His Vespian income was obviously slowed down by worker pulling for the Cantavis. Good damage overall. Doglived is, I would say, arguably ahead right now. Obviously, the 10 workers help him out in that way, but in general, I think, like, there's a difference between being fleetingly ahead and being, like actually in a winning position. Like, Doglived is advantaged right now, but Zerg can catch back up in workers very easily, especially with Cannoli's extra larva that he's invested in. I don't really see this as a situation where Cannoli is, like, out of the game, nor is he even necessarily, like, likely to lose this game from this state. I look at this and think to myself that Doglived has a position of power right now, but depending on what he does, what he's likely to do, not as a player, but just in terms of how the races interact, I actually think this is a bit of an even game state, despite the early moves from Doglived and him having the initiative there. Going on P-Sense, I see you in the chat. I do indeed have a place that you can view patch notes. It is called patchnotes.md on the pre-release repository. Let's see if I can fetch a link for you real quick. While I'm observing this game, seeing that there's a Zorka's Shroud nearly complete. We don't have any other tech. It's going to be 5 gate and a grand library. Of course, there's some static defense erected over here as well. But interesting stuff overall. We will have to see if the tech ends up coming in as the Nexus finishes up. Hard to say, though. That's a lot of workers. I just mentioned that Cannoli can arc back up in workers in a big way. And that is indeed what is going on right now. Feels to me like with the ski back coming and the Shroud already done, you are going to see a lot of Zor use for chaff, but you're also probably thinking at this point about, like, you know, Cannoli's going to need an extra base pretty soon. His main is going to evaporate very shortly. Yeah, I think he's got, like, 4 more minutes, 5 more minutes of mining before that one is kaput. If you're really oversaturated in the minerals department, which you are in this position as Cannoli because you didn't have your expansion for the longest time, but you still made workers, you usually end up mining out at around like the 12-minute mark on maps with only 1,500 mineral fields in minerals in the mineral fields. Now remember, there's an Izira core drop earmarked for Dogliv's base, but the Zorius are out, and they are going to help the Hydras deal with these Zealots in a really big way, not just as chaff, but also rending the armor. The Amaranths are helping out quite a bit on the other side, and even distracting the Hydras underneath the Psystorm, so that Cantavis, once again, ends up being a pretty pivotal part. The Izira cores unload, but can they get through double Matrix? I don't know if the answer is yes. It doesn't look like they're getting any kills whatsoever, those Scribes staying very healthy. So that's a bit of a dud, but it does maybe pull away the attention of Doglived as he's attacking an egg. Storming the workers is a good move, but it does end up getting zoned away as the Hydras start to beat things back. The Herald Ecclesiast combo is very good, but that disengage from Cannoli, it was important. Sure, you even end up picking up some of the Ecclesiast, but oh, the Storm! The Storm is humongous! 10 worker kills, maybe more, before that Cantavis dies. Cannoli reset to an even worker count, but sure, he's got plenty of Hydras. He might still have some impact here. And see, finally, the workers returning to base. So forget what I said earlier. When I mentioned that Cannoli's drop was a dud, I mean, Doglived overreacted to it because he didn't necessarily have faith in the Matrix, as it looks like. But his workers were totally fine, and he ends up losing some mining time and then leaving his other base undersaturated. So very interesting swing there. Both players did a little bit of economic damage. Zerg are choosing to just go ahead and make more workers while they turn some of their Hydras into Bactylisks. So that's what Cannoli is up to now. And a prostration stage has begun for Doglived. He wants to go into that tier 3 tech. Putting up another Cantavis as well, so he clearly wants to keep it going in that department. But there is not any Cantavis with this army. So as of right now, Cannoli has a distinct army advantage. Bactylisk's just finished. He's got loads of targets as well with the Ecclesiasts. So going to be really difficult for Doglived to get much done here, but he still wants to give it a go. Doesn't even end up picking a single unit as he ends up falling away, losing a Drakodon, losing an Ecclesiast in the process. And that is a lot of Zerg to deal with. This looks like Cannoli is gearing up for a victory, but I say that, Doglived thinking about a third base and falling away with his military as he's being chased. He's got to react to that. Now, 2 Drakodons going down for free is not really what you want to see. He's got a gateway coming that will help funnel some pathways into the Nexus as well. But I would love to see him start walling some of these positions off a little bit more. Sure, static defense can help, but I think the man needs more production. He's got a bit of a bank. Could definitely be spending down his production a little bit more. Making Zealots right now as prostration stage finishes, but I don't know if he's going to have a Pariah or anything out in time. What is he even going to go ahead and make from that? Zerg actually beats him home in terms of the army race. They ends up coming up on his doorstep. Now, the reinforcements can help with this, and the Cantavis stands by. He wants to wait for those Matrixes to finish warping in as well. Another Storm. This one's very good over time, and Cannoli does take a little bit too long to respond to it, but this looks like a juicy pocket down here as well. And unfortunately, with no front line, the Drakodons and the Cantavis are starting to flee. certainly threatening for a comeback, for a little bit of a backstab. And there's another Cantavis here for the Storm. It's all going to be down to the spell usage here, the ability usage. Those specialists are going to be worth their weight in gold as Hydras start to get stormed. That's a good zoning Storm. He needs to end up coming on back in, and here it is with another Cantavis on the front line. It gets killed immediately. The Zoryu's starting to break things down. The Matrix is doing their best, but they are collapsing. The Hydra count way too high to sustain with just a few of those units and a few of those structures. And the Cantavis is not actually storming, as we see the Hydra's very, very healthy right now. Sure, you got some Zealots, but the Battle Workers are going to need to get involved, I think. And Nexus has started at the 9 o'clock, it looks like, or 3 o'clock for Doglived. Good storm on those Hydras, and I think maybe Cannoli overacting a little bit there. The first Pariah, was it canceled, or is it... Oh, no, it's done, but he's not on Rally. So he doesn't actually... He's not using it right now. That needs to get in the battle immediately, and it doesn't quite look like Doglived is doing it. He's totally missed the fact that the Pariah is finished. I don't know that it would have made much of a difference anyway, but this looks like Cannoli strikes back as the Pariah does end up coming down the ramp. But that Nexus is trashed, and all of the Scribes are starting to fall. His last combat unit is the Pariah. GG is called as it explodes. And that will be Cannoli wiping the board with 11 skips in the bank. Yeah, he was going to win that game for sure. I'm glad that we're seeing a little bit of depth to Cannoli's game. And Doglived is going to need to think about how to either bust more accurately, more consistently, or he's going to need to achieve something a little bit different. He's going to need to maybe go a little bit deeper into his playbook. Because obviously 2 games so far, he's opened twice the same way. I did think he was a little bit slow to go for something as far as the... I just think that, like, when you're considering the way that he was transitioning into some sort of expansion and then tech, it was all a little bit slow. His tech was a little bit slow. He didn't actuate it immediately either. There's room for, like, if he had Mass Cantavis, he could have definitely stormed a little bit more. But nonetheless, we are going into our 3rd game between these two. So let's see what is up. Cannoli once again in the top left. He is our Pumpkin Zerg, and Doglived in the bottom right is our Dark Lavender Protoss. So same spawns. And just to give you guys a little bit of an idea, this is where Doglived decided to put his Nexus. It's an interesting spot, but there's only minerals over here. I don't really know what that would have afforded him. Maybe like mass gates or something? It's a possibility. I think other races probably deal with mineral-only bases a little bit better than Protoss, just because, yeah, it's your scaling factor for all races, but Protoss do seem to want at least a little bit of Vespene in all of their bases. That being said, they do have artisans. They can just decide to harvest gas from a different base across the map. And it's nice to have mineral-only bases for variety. It does force players to think about what their resources are and maybe use their tools a little bit differently. So I'm all for it. As a reminder, this is game 3 between these two. They are neck and neck, 1-1. There's plenty more where that came from. 2-gate, of course, as the default start for Doglived. And look at that, back to his old tricks. Cannoli, hatch first. I am always curious about, you know, before we knew that hatch first was just done because Cannoli wanted it to be done. He thought it was kind of fun. And now we have a situation where he's going hatch first after, you know, 2 very different openers. First was Pool into Larvosk, then it was Larvosk into Hydrith, and that ends up working out. So I'm kind of surprised that Doglived is a player who dies to the Hydrith opener, because I have it on pretty good authority that it's not so good. But I also have heard people, like even hit him up, say that there is a chance that it can be developed into something more beneficial. So we'll see. We'll see. It's obviously a brave new world in Cosmonarchy right now. We do have 3-gate coming for Doglived, and it looks like he's thinking about a 4th. Yeah, so I said he had to go deeper into his playbook. I kind of thought he would do something other than 4 gates, and he's only mining gas right now, so he is just going to be going Zealot spam for a little bit. Cannoli has circuits coming at his, I guess just only at the main base. This feels unoptimized and not necessarily the best. I feel like that actually could have just been a hatch if you look at his bank right now, and that probably would have boded a little bit better. Maybe he's even thinking about that as he does have 300 minerals. Has made a couple of quas, that's about it. I see we have Shopkeeper Dog and Biddy Bee and Godwheat in the chat. Welcome, gentlemen. Quad Quas moving out. And, of course, 4 pairs of Zeths on the way. Looks like we will end up having a Larvosk underneath that pool after all. And, yeah, Dogliv is just going to go ahead and spam Zealots, have an Ecclesiast or 2, and see if he can't muscle through that way. Going to be an interesting choice. By the way, after this series of Cannoli versus Dogliv, we do have Kasuga versus Jakulansky coming up. So, more PvZ for you. Or ZVP, depending on who you decided to put in front on that matchup. I still would rate Dogliv as a better player than Cannoli, but Cannoli has some tricks up his sleeve. We'll see if he ends up making it happen, as he is going Vornath and another hatch for extra larva. Harvesting mostly Vespene from his natural. Interesting choice. And I also kind of like that Cannoli isn't worker scouting in this game. I don't necessarily like it for Cannoli. I actually think it's kind of a bad thing. But I like that for the sake of variety. He's not worker scouting. He's going to find out about Dogliv's army basically right now, as it's already moving across the map. So, almost the last possible moment. And Dogliv is just going to walk in here and kill everything. And it doesn't even look like Cannoli was paying attention. He is instead going to make a bunch of units and see if he can't hold. But I would love to see like 3 circuits here. I think if you saw how many units there were, even on just the mini-map, 3 circuits makes a lot of sense. P-Sense asking for Terran action. Where are my Terran replays? I see 0 Terran replays uploaded for the last week or so. Need to see a little bit more action there myself. Just Zeths are not going to... they're definitely going to struggle versus the Zealots, especially as the Ecclesiasts come in. This just feels like a really good timing here for Dogliv, and there is nothing here for Cannoli. He invested so much money into the production early with the extra hatch, the hatch first, the Larvosk, but he doesn't actually have that many combat units. His Circuit was solitary, and I guess he's kind of dancing around it over here in the main base. As the Zeths finish up, he might be able to deal with some of those Zealots, but there's so many Ecclesiasts, that hatch is definitely dead. And we still don't have any extra static defense put up. Cowardly Hatcherosk falls. What else will Dogliv do in his conquest, his quest for victory? It looks like he might just be able to steamroll the competition here. We do have some Vorvicors out, but the Zealot count is enormous right about now. And this does really feel like it is the end of Cannoli in this position. Rushed down, spread his damage a little bit as well. Didn't have Hydras, didn't have Lakes. GG is called. The Vornath, I think, was probably a mistake. At least versus a 4-gate on one base, I don't think you can make Vornath work. I think the quantity of Zealot Ecclesiast is too high. And he did well adding in a Hierophant as well. Dogliv takes a much-deserved Game 3 win. And we will be going to Game 4. Either we tie it up, or this is a wrap here in favor of Dogliv. Not that this was a best of 5, just something fancy to say at the end. By the way, Shopkeeper Dog did say that he would send me some Ultra games, but maybe Ultra said no. I don't really know what the details are on that. It was like ZVP, or no, it was TVP rather. So it would be cool to see how Ultra does. See how it goes. And yeah, Vorv for the Rokor definitely works well versus the Zealot, but I think you need the Zor use for that. I don't think you can use the larva from the eggs. The Riller Rokors from eggs. Here we go. Dogliv is in the bottom right as our Dark Lavender Protoss. And Cannoli once again in the top left as our Pumpkin Zerg. Looking forward to seeing how the... how many gateways are in the early game here for Dogliv. Should be an interesting time. These have been pretty fast games. Even the one that... the one that Cannoli won was the one that has gone the longest so far. I am rooting for a mid-game. And I appreciate that Shopkeeper Dog is going to go ahead and post those Ultra replays later on. That would be very cool. Very epic. Ultra was even talking in the Spanish chat. So that was pretty awesome as well. Larvosk on the way for Mr. Cannoli as he goes for a pool behind it. So it's not going to be, Larvosk into Hydrith like Game 2. He's kind of done something a little bit different every game, because Game 1 was pool Larvosk, and obviously Game 3 was hatch first. So But he likes the pool. He still wants to be using pool versus Protoss. I think they make really good chaff because you can spam them so much. I definitely want to see a little bit more from, like in terms of compositional variety, I want to see a little bit more from Cannoli. The one time he was able to get both the Hydra and the Shroud operational, he ended up winning because he went like Hydra Izzy and the Zoryus with the Rilla cores helped rend the armor so the Azira cores could be better versus what Doglived had. And his army was generally staying alive underneath Storm. Now, Doglived has he's basically decided, I'm going to do something completely different. Finally, I will change my build. It will not be a Grand Library, and it will not be 4 gateways. Doglived is erecting a Rogue Gallery. So we are going to be in a very different position than usual. Rogue Gallery has been changed insofar as the Charlatan has faster attack speed, and the Barghest has more attack range. But those are very minor changes. The structure more or less exists as a nice little leapfrog point where you can go for Rogue Gallery and then go for a tier 3 structure on 1 or 2 bases and still have a pretty high impact, right? If you want to go Prostration or Unitary, that's a good one to go for. So maybe Doglived is making a play for later in the game, but I think he's going to make a Kabbalist. Indeed he does. And I also think that he's going to be going for some sort of harassment opportunity. If we ever see him decide to drop a second Rogue Gallery, you absolutely know what's going on, and it is going to be like Kabbalist Vagrant Man with a healthy spattering of Zealot Ecclesiast out of those gateways. Right now, though, Zealots, 1 Ecclesiast and 1 Hierophant. Starting to see a little bit more Ecclesiast filter in. The Quas are moving across the map. There are some Zethar cores for reinforcements, but to me, this feels like a little bit of a misunderstanding of the current position. Obviously, Cannoli hasn't scouted, but I don't know if anybody else feels this. This does not, to me, look like a position where Cannoli can do anything with his Zeth Quas. I do think he absolutely needs a little bit more going on here. Now, does he notice the Shimmer? Because his attention was kind of pulled towards that area by the Hierophant, which is moving out behind the Kabbalist. That's very interesting. We are not going to see a single Ovileth, so the Zethar cores are going to be able to try and chase down the Kabbalist, but it's not going to work quite. This is a very wide ramp as well, so it's not even like you can try to body block it. Ooh. What's he going to do about that? Starts to fight him with workers, of all things. 2 workers are down. Well, he's going to get plenty of worker kills in the meanwhile, and the Zethar cores, I don't know if they're going to be able to deal with that. Shutting down Cannoli's mining always feels like a death sentence for him, because it does take him a while before he gets his Droleths back in action. But this time around, he was a little bit faster at it, and he is going for a Vornath. Still no Ovileth. He doesn't have the gas. He had the gas for the Vornath, but not... He decided not to make detection. That's wacky. 3rd and 4th gateways have since been completed. The 4th gateway has been completed since the last time we looked at Dogliv's base. No expansion in sight. He wants to end this in a very quick affair. Looks like he'll get 6 worker kills before the Kabbalist goes down. Maybe unnecessary to end it in that way, but it's definitely worthwhile. Defensive Circuit, and only pulling away from the Vespene harvesting right now. It looks like he just wants to make a ton of Vorver cores. He's making a single Ovileth as well. He has the Vespene for it. And now here comes the attack. Will Doglived be able to muscle through everything Cannoli has? Well, there's no Circuit over here to defend. Instead, it's all the way in the Hatcherosk. And the Zealot Ecclesiast is absolutely going to run roughshod over the Quas, it feels like. But all the Ecclesiasts have actually been picked off. If Focus Fire can come out anytime soon, we might actually see Cannoli take center stage here. He's making 20 Zeths, so that's an opportunity. We actually don't have a lot of Ecclesiasts coming. Do we have any Ecclesiasts coming? We have 1 in production and 1 on the field. So that's easy pickings for the Quas. You can see some Vorver cores are already being made. And there it is, the tier 3 structure on 1 base. Doglived is thinking about a Nexus, but it will be a little bit of time. Prostration stage already coming. Zeth, Vorv, Quas. We're looking very good here in favor of Cannoli. If he wants to be able to take this game, he can start it right here and right now by picking off some of those frontline units. And there just isn't really enough sustain, nor is there any crowd control. So this is definitely a very different swing, because you can see even with the reinforcements, Doglived is struggling to actually put to bed all of those Vorvs. There's a lot of Zerg units here. If he can get his Pariah out of the Prostration stage, though, this whole thing turns on its head. The pariah is so hard to deal with. Cannoli going to go ahead and expand. He's got lots of larvae, but not a whole lot of eggs. He's not spending his money, is what I'm trying to say. But he does end up getting a little bit of it spent down. Dog-lived, dropping a pylon and several static defense structures. Still no nexus, which is a little bit worrisome. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought that we would see, is an immediate pivot into the pariah. Cannoli trying to catch back up in workers in the meanwhile, and Dog-lived has definitely been cutting those. Which kind of makes sense, because he's very well oversaturated in his main base. You want 14 workers per main base, because there's 7 mineral fields. And you need 2 times the number of mineral fields in order to have like baseline efficiency a lot of the time. Once you have 3 workers per mineral field, which is 21, of course, at that point, your 22nd worker is 0% efficient. You should just start distance mining. It'll actually be faster. Now, I will put an asterisk next to that. If the minerals are really far away for whatever reason, then you need more workers to have your next one have 0% efficiency, but that's very non-standard. That's like campaign mission stuff, right? A pretty reasonable army over here, although I don't really like that it's separated, especially the fact that the pariah is not with the bulk of the army. Could get isolated if Cannoli was out there in the middle of stuff. Vornath Pond is turning into the Calcure Lake, and we have a lot of Nathricors already made. These flying things can turn into the Calcalisk when the Vornath Pond finishes its mutation. And there's not really long-range anti-air over here. That's something that you would probably want, like Auroras or, land effects or something like that out of the Stargate. Maybe you could do something. I guess you could probably make potentates or something like that. But he's hitting before the lake actually finishes. And now all of those Nathricors, they are stacked up, and the Ecclesiasts are defending them so nicely. This is a perfect time to attack from Dog-lived. Holy smokes. His Nexus is only halfway complete. He has never expanded. And just like that, Cannoli's army is crushed. The one pariah hasn't taken a single point of hull damage. GG. Dog-lived finds the magic timing, and that is a wrap. I am very impressed that Dog-lived was able to take it away in that way. Cool stuff from him. I definitely felt like that was a Cannoli game, but Cannoli was not able to make it in. All right, we have to change up our version here for the next series of games. Shout out to Cannoli for uploading those matches. And definitely looking forward to seeing some pro games later on. I know that it might be some time before we've got those replays from Ultra, but it'll be neat. It will be neat. I'm going to go ahead and set up the overlay, and then I'm going to venture downstairs very quickly because I do have to use the bathroom earlier than I thought. I drank just a little bit too much water before we got started here. Also, to note, there are 6 games between Jack and Kasuga, and they are all on Crisis Vector. So expect a lot of Crisis Vector. We are going to go into that installation, and we are not coming out until we know which one of these players wins the majority of the games. Not just the majority, but how about every single outcome of every single one. Question we've all been waiting for. Oh, it's Grass Eater. What website? Is that the Wikidot or something? That's ancient stuff. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. How about I say eventually? Is that acceptable? Oh, StarEdit. Yeah, I don't even have access to my account on StarEdit anymore. Hey, thank you, Backyard Knight. It's a good time to be playing Cosmonarchy. It's a good time to be casting it. It's a great time. It's a good time to be streaming it. As you can see by the donation goal there in the bottom. We are out here trying to make this sustainable. So we appreciate any and all financial contributions. It's going to be a good time. I think, honestly, the changes that I've made to the game very recently, they are pretty banger. They're going to take some time to settle, and we are going to have Bonneth, Hawk, and Ultra playing the game to sort of flesh out those changes and see how they are. I think that's going to be pretty sick, so I'm looking forward to that personally. But of course, we will need to find out what's really going on very soon. One of the things also that I'm very excited about doing is, I guess if you guys missed yesterday's stream, or this part of yesterday's stream, Zeke was talking about how he actually enjoys playing Cosmonarchy more than he enjoys playing Brood War, which to me is like one of the highest compliments you can probably give me, because it's like, damn, you think so? A lot of people do think that, so it's one of those things that makes you wonder, wait, hold on a second. What's going on here? So if the pros decide to keep playing, like Zeke's just been grinding, gaming almost every day. He's been playing Cosmonarchy. That's pretty awesome. It'll be a good time for sure. That show match that's coming on the 15th, I will be eagerly awaiting it. Have been eagerly awaiting it. All right, we are going to take just a short break so that I can use the restroom. I think I will be like 3 minutes. So that's what I'll put it in. 3. So I will see you guys soon. What up, what up? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And just about ready to get into our next game, which is Jack versus Kasuga. So let me get the Gamba ready. Remember, lads, Crisis Vector all day, every day. It's going to be Kasuga in the top left as our black Protoss, and Jack Yelensky in the bottom right. What color is this? Dark Spring Green? There you go. I have no idea what Kasuga's typing even means half the time, to be honest with you guys, but he's a cool guy, I think. Oh, never mind. I take back everything positive I ever said about him. Never saw that one, did ya, Biddy B? Hey, what's up, Green Eggs? How you doing? I do think that overall, I'm looking at the way that the last matchup went, and Jack is a very different Zerg player than Cannoli. Certainly a winninger Zerg player, someone with more accomplishments, more practice, more, I would say, like a baseline floor of skill. Kasuga is also a different player than Doglived. Kasuga doesn't mind going into the mid game or the late game. It does seem like Doglived really likes his rushes, really likes his sub 10-minute game times. And it'll be very interesting to see how Jack approaches that kind of challenge. Since he was struggling so much versus Neblime in some of the games that we saw, I don't think he took a single game off of Neblime in the 4 replays that we casted all the way earlier on like Monday and stuff. But this is also new Zerg. New Zerg, new Protoss. We've already seen some of those antics from Cannoli, although ironically, a lot of the ways that those games were ending was without really any changed units. So good to see that the game is still able to be stable. And we have a double Ecclesiast coming out of it for Kasuga while he makes himself some lattice. Got a single Zealot. I've noticed that there are some Protoss that like the 1 Zealot and then like 4 Ecclesiasts. It's kind of a different vibe because some people like 1 Ecclesiast and 4 Zealot. So very, very different. We do indeed have a situation where, I mean, the way that Jack is expanding his Kagra slowly towards the ramp is always kind of clever to me. It tickles me a little bit because I know Jack is a Starcraft 2 player. That's where he sort of was. That's what he was playing most, I believe, before he found Cosmonarchy. So to see him kind of very slowly push this out is very like Creep Tumor-esque. He'll go ahead and drop his expansion though. Shout out to Jujic for Crisis Vector, by the way. Curious. Imagine if he went after this guy. Farthest away from the reinforcements. I think that would have been great. A witness is on the way for Kasuga, which is important because we do have a Zorkish Shroud coming. So that means that you will end up seeing Lakes pretty soon. If I know my Jack, anyway. I had a video essay I was working on a long time ago about custom campaigns in StarCraft. And at some point I was like, if I was the judge, and I am, and then said something incendiary about a particular product, or what would you say, project I was reviewing. Unfortunately for Kasuga, I am also the judge of this replay, and losing your idol like that is a bit silly when you know you desperately need the crowd control. Well, the Zealots are staying alive for quite a bit, but now the Ecclesiasts are being focused down, and that's where things are definitely going to change. It's worth pointing out, Jack actually had his Zethar really stuck behind the Quas. Oh my god, the Quas killed the Hierophant as well. Bit of a micro shamble here for Kasuga. There's definitely an unforced error there. He's going to go ahead and have his own expansion drop, though. So maybe there's a chance that he can do something there. Ardent, Sedent. See if he can grab himself some extra Vespian income soon. Kind of scaling up for maybe an Acantor drop, maybe some mass positrons or something. We'll see what he wants to do. One thing that Arbuz was saying in chat recently is that Bactylisks got a little bit easier. It got a little bit harder to deal with for Protoss. It was a little bit easier to use Bactylisks for Zerg because Optectons take longer to come out. And I'm just waiting for the Architect, man. I'm just waiting for people to remember about the Architect. Surely it's still good, guys. Like the whole idea that somebody had, I think it was even Arbus who said it, that the Architect is replaced by the Optecton, basically, which, you know, fair. Might be a fair assessment of the two units, even though they do very different things. But if you can't get the Optectons out, not in the same number anyway, you can actually do Optecton Architect together. Okay. Third base. I feel like the static defense placement is some kind of call-out against Protoss. Maybe Kasuga specifically. Does he fly over, like, directly like this with the Envoy? The Circuith obviously will help out a little bit if there's an Acantor drop. And we do have Lyrilisks already coming. This is, I believe this is after, yeah, this is after they got their anti-air update. Oh yeah, the new Ecclesiast portrait is in too. I mean, tell me that's not fucking cool. Thank you, Solstice. You are epic. Witness coverage, pretty good for Kasuga. A lot of units everywhere. Krankendau-esque, but they're not wiggling. So not really Krankendau-esque. I've noticed that Jack has been making a lot of Nathracores, and I genuinely think that a lot of players are going to start making a lot more Nathracores now, because you can make the Calculisks so early. And third base going up at a 12 o'clock position for Kasuga. As of right now, it does feel like with a couple of Calcs, and the lake is already here, I'm a little bit concerned. Don't you know? Like, what is Kasuga's tech going to be versus not just the Calcs, but all of the Lyrilisks? I guess he's going to try to use armored units and Acantors. So he's got Golems. He's got Acantors out already. It's an interesting set of games that I think we'll be able to derive some lessons from regarding what is good and what is not good. I don't know if there's a witness nearby. There is. So these Lakes can be held at an arm's length. Probably wants to cancel some of those structures, but not the Nexus, right? You want to see if we can keep the Nexus alive. The Lyrilisks are okay for damage, but not great versus structures. I suppose they do a little bit better versus some of these armored units, though. And the Calculisks have arrived to try to munch on the workers. Kasuga, he's been caught with his pants down. Remove toss. What? Why would he say that? I would never remove the Protoss race, as no matter how many times Alexander donates. Well, Kasuga gets absolutely ass blasted. See you, dude. Jack Yelansky is able to take it with a pretty well-considered smackdown. He really did alley-oop there, where he had the calcs fly in into a funny way, and then he was just like, yeah, I got this. That's fine. GG. So that's my kind of guy right there. I appreciate that. All right, we have ourselves game 2 between these two players. Kasuga is once again in the top left as the black Protoss. Jack Yelansky is in the bottom right as the yellow Zerg. And I'm interested in what's happening now. We do have lattices coming. I felt like Kasuga's game plan wasn't bad. He just didn't really respond to the calcs. And he definitely wasn't... Like, he had perfect witness coverage of everything that was going on inside Jack's base. So he should have known the tech. He should have known, like, what units were being made. He could have maybe had a witness over the third to see what the army strength was. But anyway, he had the tools. He just didn't necessarily use them. Remove toss is a really funny line, though. I'll give him that. Double lattice, okay. Makes sense. Oh, we might actually have some games being played live soon. Check that out. Ah, the Ultra replays are up. Perfect. You know, 3Crow once told me that I should, basically he told me something along the lines of I should do like a 24-hour stream or something. And it's like every time somebody donates, the stream gets longer, is basically was the plan. That's a pretty funny idea. Maybe we should do something like that someday. But one of the things that I just thought of was the casting section of the dev stream gets longer every time somebody uploads replays in the replay chat, because I just keep casting them as they come in. I'm just saying. Maybe consider that. There's a simulacrum here, but I can't attack it, lest it become more than one simulacrum. Oh, very clever. Very clever, Jack. See ya. You send that guy to die because he attacked a sim? That's rude. So the Quads are here to defend versus the Vassal. And the Zets are going to try to overcome the Sims, but I don't know if that's a good move or not. They are definitely being microed right now. Oh, no. Oh, no. Jack Yelansky has been bamboozled by Sims. What a devastation. What a destruction. The Vassals are killing his stuff, too. He has no... There's no way. Well, if Kasuga doesn't micro, if Kasuga doesn't pay attention, then that is a way. But the Vassals are killing workers and forcing them to burrow. Alarvosk has turned into a circuit. Okay, I guess we are still in a game. Hard to tell. The Sims are not going to be able to multiply when the Zets are on top of them like that. So that's a bit of a misfire. Definitely feels like Kasuga could have locked this game in, but he just wasn't microing those Sims at the end. The Jack will stay alive. And Kasuga was kind of all in there, right? He had just 2 lattices. He wasn't even making workers. Okay, I guess I got a little bit too excited about the Sims. I already was thinking about how I was reminding myself the mental steps of incrementing Kasuga's map score. Oh, not quite enough. Very nice, very nice. Dancing around, gets 2 extra Sims, although they are low health. I don't think units are supposed to be able to go through here, but it's kind of neat that it's only Zeths. It's like Zeths and Eidolons. I can't believe he's chasing a couple Zethar cores all the way back up to the other side of the map. Vassal coming in, but there are some quads nearby. 2 Leikas are being started. Scribes will help deal with the Zeth. No worker kills this day for our Zerg player. But the Sims went all the way back to the natural choke. And that doesn't feel like it was necessary. The Vassal just chilling. We'll fly over and be able to click on the Quaseth pool that is mutating into the Vornath Pond. See the Zorkish Shroud. I still can't get over remove Toss. Like, what does that even mean? Was he trying to say the changes may have well have removed Toss? Was it a request? Was it a statement of fact that this had happened? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's a puzzler. I think I've already done the buff Zerg part of what you requested, P-Sense. I will add the Escozi next. We are here on the buff Zerg, right? And so, moving to the next stage. Hydra's Den on the way, as well as... Oh, that's kind of interesting. We also have Jack Yelansky rocking the Fast Calcure Lake. Remember, you can go Ulgorg. It's just very expensive. That's something that I've been thinking about, actually, is the fact that I didn't really change anything about the Gorger core. It probably needs to get maybe a little bit cheaper, because it is much more tech-gated now. Like, the cost of the Ulgorg is really high. Oh wow. He made it. He did the Ulgorg already. Guess it's not that high. Guarding all of the potential third bases here for Kasuga is Jack Yelansky, who, does have the worker advantage. Kasuga is down several workers. He's making heralds, which are not a bad shout. I mean, honestly, his army is pretty good. Like, Jack's army has, like, he's got tech. Is there a witness? I may have missed it. No, there is no witness. There's an embassy making one. So he's okay. I think, honestly, there's a chance Kasuga just walks across the map and finishes the game. I know that sounds very anticlimactic, but there's not that many Leikas out. The opportunity to make Ultra Cores is going to be pretty minimal here. He's catching some units that are moving across the map. We get to see that nice new treasury graphic from Solstice. Big shout out to him. Doesn't it look like it just so neatly fits in the platform, too? Isn't that beautiful? But I don't really think that this army that Jack has is actually going to be able to hold up versus what Kasuga has on the other side. He's clearly sent those Nathacores across the map so that he can try to go after something a little bit more on the lines of like the worker raid that he did in game 1. Maybe that's an opportunity, but he's actually going to full kill that egg, making an Ultra Core. So that's a very expensive unit to lose before it's even done. Lost the last Zorius as well. The Witness here, this is a great push from Kasuga. Recognizing Jack was being a little bit too aggressive, or maybe it's not even a recognition of what his opponent did. Maybe it's just dumb luck. He's got a couple of those Calculusks now moving on the way, but there's Matrixes and a Warden. He's prepared this time, and you've only got 2 Calcs? Good luck, buddy. Even with a big float, Kasuga's going to end up taking this game nice and easy. The Matrix is shield sustaining, then not a single Scribe goes down. It's absolutely gorgeous. No third base, workers not evacuated. Now we are getting some Lyrilisks out, but not a single Ultra Core can be made right now. Not enough money and no Zorius, though they are about to pop. But it takes so long to make them. I really don't think that the Ultra Cores can save Jack in this position. That being said, the Lyrilisks can help out try to break these Heralds and stuff, but the burrow, I think that was a fat finger. I don't think that was intended. The lake is burrowing all the way up the top, but there is still a Witness there. There is still a Witness there to help deal with things. Help detect that lake is. Right now, the problem that I see is that the workers are all dying, and it's going to take a lot of investment to deal with that. But Kasuga's army is also being brought down just a little bit. The Hierophants are having to deal with all the Rilla Rokors, and so they're going to be dead. Most of those endgame units, if you want to call them that, those Apex units out of Tier 1 now, the Lyralisks, are all dead, so not really the most useful. And the Calculisks, I guess those are the other Apex units, they were completely useless, right? So not very helpful in that respect either. It was preempted by Kasuga's base construction. Now, this does give Jack a little bit of time. He can try to reset his worker count a little bit, but, I mean, he's so poor. He's got 1 Ultra Core coming, 5 Droleth on the way. Second Grand Library, Crucible to enchant most of the production. Ardent Authorities down here at the Natural. We actually see it mostly being used for the Clarion here instead of the Acantor, which is what we would expect, the Reaver equivalent here in Cosmonarchy. Third base started for Kasuga after freshly clearing out the opponent's third base. You see those Witness obsing that lane there, eyeing up that angle in case there's some army rotation later on. I don't mind Kasuga's Witness usage, but it does feel like sometimes he doesn't actually check what he's seeing. Ultra Cores are going to be a bit of a dicey thing for Kasuga to deal with as well. I guess if he had a lot of manifolds, I'd actually think that he's just fine, right? One of the Ultra Core's chief strengths is the fact that it has so much armor. Its HP, though, you can whittle through it if the armor is not a factor. Hierophants to slow it and eventually cut its attack speed. Manifolds to ignore most of its armor. He's got 2 manifolds, so he's kind of there. Witness needs to get with the army. I guess the Clarion can be a good detector, though. Static defense being erected over here. I love the double gate. I think that's a good option there. But here's the big engage. One of the Lakers going down before he can do anything. Man, those Lakers are going to be doing so much shield damage. Because the Calculisks actually come in to try to flank Kasuga's position. And again, I don't think he has the DPS to actually eat through the shield sustain, or the lifesteal, rather, of the Ultra Cores. So his army is gone, and Kasuga does end up GGing. I really feel like he missed his window in that game, man. He could have won at the very beginning, because he already had the Sims advantage. It was already a little bit of a throw for him to not have a follow-up there. He just kind of took his hands off the keyboard, it felt like. But then on top of that, he had an opportunity to just kind of push to end. Maybe bungled a little bit of that big army fight around the third base, and that's all she wrote. So that will also go the way of the Jackulansky. Game 3 between these two players. Let's get into it. For Game 3, we've got Kasuga in the top left once again. He is the black Protoss. And Jackulansky is in the bottom right. This is the Royal Blue Zerg. He says, yeah, sure. I don't know. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kasuga. It's not your birthday, probably, but happy birthday anyway. If he says, yeah, sure, then the other question was, is it your birthday? This is psychological warfare from Jackulansky. Well, the Lattice is here, and it looks like Kasuga wants to try that same thing again, but maybe better this time. Jack, on the other hand, is going to do his usual. 1 pair of Rilla Rokors to deal with the Scout, if there is indeed a Scribe coming. And, of course, he's got himself a Larvosk. He always likes to put him on hold position so that the Scribe doesn't, like, lure them away off of the Kagra and then they die. Kasuga is indeed going for Sims. And we do have a Scout Scribe. Okay. I feel like that was... No, he actually... I guess he did have the Scribe come back. I feel like maybe the Scout from the Scribe was faster in that last game. It's hard, though, because all of the games have, of course, been on Crisis Vector. And all of the games will be on Crisis Vector, so they will start to blend together a little bit. Looks like we have some ZVZs after we cast a couple TVP matches. Scribe trying to clear out some of the rills. The cute tactic there. Since it has the shields. Yeah, he knows that that's just going to die, so that's fine. Now, we do have 3 pairs of quads coming. I think Jack is going to be way less vulnerable to this attack than he was in the last game. The last game, he was worried about, like, the vassals coming in. I think this time he's just going to take the Sims threat a lot more seriously. So there's not really a huge opportunity here for Kasuga to stack the Sims up. The Scribe is going to go down first. Now you can try to focus down the Sims since you're going to split it anyway. Looks like 2 of them are waiting over here, so that's a bit of a surprise. Oh, and this might be a little bit of a mistake here from Jack, but no, he's got enough quads that he can just chew through them all. That was what I was worried about, is does he have the DPS? And so it looks like he does. Even ends up clearing one of the more important ones, which was high HP. And it does look like Kasuga wants to go for an expansion behind this. He's just gone 1 Lattice, so that's one of the reasons why he had way less Sims than before, and no Vassal. Lattice, expand into Gateway. It's kind of interesting, right? Because you're using the Sims, trying to like farm up extra units, and then basically have the ability to contain your opponent off to the side. Jack is going to go ahead and have a ton of quads, pretty low worker count, and of course going for that Zorka's Shroud. Just going to slowly reinforce the position with Sims, see what's going on, maybe see if he can't grab an extra free unit. Oh, he needs to cycle back way faster than that, though. Jack is now going to try to give chase, hoping to decollide the units and have that be an opportunity, but he's giving a lot of extra Sims, and so now there is a chance that maybe Jack is going to end up losing a lot of his army. Ooh, good cycle back there from Kasuga. Trying to figure out, like, when your opponent is actually going to attack you. Well, he finally ends up losing one, but so far this is actually working out pretty nicely for Kasuga, because behind this, he's going for the Grand Library. I love that he even tried to bait out the burrow. It didn't end up working out mechanically, but the idea is there. 2 Lakes, and of course the expansion now finally coming down for Jack. But it's not like Kasuga's gambit was to try to deny his opponent the expansion for as long as possible. His own expansion is done. His Grand Library is here. Got the Amaranth. I'd love to see him try the Storm Drop that he did versus Zeki on Acid Test a couple days ago. I thought that was a really interesting idea. Looks like Jack wants to double expand. He does like to do this a lot. I don't know if I'm as much of a fan personally, because in my opinion, the double expand that comes out of the out of this spot, like double expanding after you've already got your second base, it's a lot easier to saturate both bases or whichever one goes up. But in this case, you actually want both bases to go up. You kind of need all of your money in one spot, it feels like. Lake is starting to get a little bit burrowed, a little bit bullied. Oh, he can just leave his Zealot to kill that Lake, as I don't think he realizes it. Kasuga giving a little bit too much respect, feels like. Sims can try to bully some of the quads at the very least. A lot of that army was actually out of position there. There's still some more that are burrowed up as well. Kasuga's just going to be waltzing over here, and just in time to see, hey, you've got a base coming over here. What the hell? And Sims do take an eternity to kill a structure, but this is going to force some kind of response. And you don't want to, you know, your Lakes are just going to go ahead and start splitting a lot of Sims in the process. So this is pretty good micro, honestly, from Kasuga this whole time. And he's putting a lot of pressure onto this hatch. Finally, one of the Sims will end up going down. So, you know, taking about 1,000 health off of the hatch is no small feat. I feel like overall the wounded structure from Jack is definitely going to be in a position where he's like, oh, I got to watch out for that. And, you know, you make your opponent paranoid a little bit. Kasuga has a huge bank right now. Not much on the Vespine side, but he is saturating his Sedent in the main base. And he's starting to saturate the gas inside his natural. Man, he's queued up a lot of workers, but not a lot of military units, guys. That's what I'm mostly worried about. Kind of heckling the Hydrathen that's being made at the natural. I like this army rotation from him. He went all the way around the world, and now the Lakes are not in this position, right? This is an opportunity for him to start killing that Kagrin if he wants to. He's going to evacuate with the majority of the Sims, it looks like, or at least try to, but the idol goes down super fast. A couple Zealots are chasing the workers into the main base. He's not going to be able to kill any structures, but he is going to force the Quas to have a very slow response time over here. Oh, there's an Amaranth in here, too. That actually makes this a lot harder for pure Quas alone to deal with. Lakes will clear out all of those Sims. And it looks like Azorius is this is a very chaotic game, very hectic. Zephyrcores come out, which is a good thing, because otherwise I feel like those Quas would have died to one Amaranth. Zealots are being bullied around, chased around. There's units everywhere, man. Thinking about 12 o'clock, but there is a Quaz over there. There's ironically not a Quaz anywhere else, although, hold on, I say that. A Lakis drop was good for killing 2 workers, but everything else transferred over, so no hard feelings there, it looks like. Unfortunately, though, yeah, you're not going to be able to deal with that. You're going to have to kill that with some units. So the Quaz at 12 o'clock safeguards it. No mining really going on at the 3rd. He's got like 1 gas miner. The Hydra then turns straight into the ski back, so I do think that Jack is thinking about grabbing himself some Hydras. This clump of units is a little bit unfortunate because he cannot actually move out on the map right now. And he knows that his opponent was trying to expand towards 12. But Kasuga's given it up for the time being. He's going to go ahead and put down a Warden. I don't really like the Warden placement, but I guess it does kind of help versus the drop here. I think you probably need a Hierophant, which is an expensive unit to be dedicating just over here. But I guess you can just put down some static defense instead. Maybe it'll be enough. You can't see the Lakis, though, so that's the main problem. Kasuga is going to have to pull away with his workers, and so he does. Maybe if he can kill the Ovaleth, it's a little bit of a different story. Getting back to mining, though. Yeah, now he's going to fly over here and see all the static defense. So this is a much better spot for Kasuga to do something about. He's got the Storm as well from the Cantavis if he needs it. And the Matrixes are going to try to keep themselves alive. Oh, I love that position with the Scribe on top of the lake is. And the Ovaleth will get shot down too. That was almost effortless. I feel like, I guess Kasuga's had to deal with that before. That was really smart. Scribe on the other side, so the lake wasn't doing too much damage to it. Obviously, was any damage to it was being healed by the Matrixes as well. That looked like it was going to be a lot worse for Kasuga, and instead he was like, nah, I'll be fine. Hatch has regenerated about 220 life, it looks like, so still a lot to go. Crucible starting now. We've got Atreus's, another embassy. Probably going to see some artisans later on if I had to speculate. Or maybe like Mass Envoy. I'm trying to think if Kasuga's ever made Mass Artisan. I don't really think so. I was also trying to find out where the Arden Authority is, but I guess it's just right here. I thought there was one warping in, but I just missaw. Good worker saturation here at the 3rd base for Jack, I suppose. Yeah. Not so good at the natural. It's just baseline saturation. And definitely not so good in the main. So some concessions have been made. The Iral Iris is on the way. He clearly wants some tech that he doesn't feel like he can get right now. He doesn't have his lake done, but he did just make a bunch of Naths. So expect that to be changed at some point. And now the 3rd base is starting to be heckled by Jack Yelansky, once again in a position of power. Witness revealing that lake is. Storm, good. He's gone for the Tethfith Swamp, you can tell because he's got the Tetzoricors out already. But that Storm is doing so much damage, dude. Almost 1,500 damage. The Cantavis does end up frontlining, so it's gone. There's an Incantor and another ball of units that could have been involved in that fight, but Kasuga just kind of forgot that he did that. And the Tetzoricors are dealing so much damage, as well as healing themselves for every point of damage they deal. And another ball of units that could have been with the first 2 balls of units. Kasuga had 3 balls. If only they were working in tandem. I think he's got a couple of witnesses scattered about, but none of them are in this location. So that's going to be a really nice stab forward from the Lakis. And he just cannot collect. It looks like Kasuga is out of this one as well. No GG is called. And that is a wrap. These are unfortunate situations because Kasuga, I feel like he should be able to hang with a player like Jack. But he is making some blunders, especially game 2. But this one, it felt doable. It felt very doable. It felt like he had the army. He just didn't end up using it. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into game 4. We got 3 more to go. We're halfway there through all of the Kasuga versus Jack Yelansky replays. And finally, Kasuga will get a different spawn point. Kasuga in the bottom right is our black, not Zerg, Protoss. Zerg is up here, top left. And this is Delft Blue, right? No, it's Zafir. I guess Delft Blue is closer to black. So Jack Yelansky is in the top left here, and finally they are swapping sides. I was about to say the Zerg in the bottom right because that's what it was the first 3 games. But now in game 4, something a little bit different. Kasuga has had a really, really, really near miss in game 2. And I think it was an even game that he just kind of bungled the army fights in game 3. Would love to see him actually collect those units together and fight all at once, but unfortunately he did not do that. If you guys are looking to support streams like these, you're enjoying the casts, you're enjoying the regularity of these streams, definitely think about donating at streamlabs.com/Pronego. I do appreciate it. It does help the streams stay alive, stay afloat. We're looking for $50 a day eventually. We're trying to build up to that kind of consistency. And of course, we'll be doing these every weekday. So tomorrow will be the first day off of the first week of that. I can't say it's a full day off. I'll be doing D&D stuff, but, you know, it's good. It'll be good. Hey, Alex! I talk about donations, and Alexander shows up in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Very excited to show some TVP later on today. We haven't actually seen any Terrans, but it's been a bit of a Zerg clinic so far. So, Doglived won 3-1 over Cannoli earlier today, and Jack Yalangsky has been owning Kasuga. Poor guy. He's actually gone Gateway Expand. Such is his position right now. But Jack will like to run away with stuff like this if he's not pressured. So let's see how fast Jack turns on the aggression. Jack's evolution as a player has been really interesting as well. Back when he first started to join us, during the break between Acropolis 1 and Acropolis 2, I believe. Oh no, I guess it would have been like the Ascension break, I think. Yeah, maybe he participated in Acropolis 1. It's hard to remember. Anyway, he started playing towards the beginning of, I think, last year, which would put him at Acropolis 1 time. That would have been his first proper event. And he had pretty reasonable macro in the mid-game or late game. If the game went mid or late, he could be very, very dangerous. But his early game always lacked a little bit. It was hard for him to get there. Flash forward to now, and he's definitely changed in that respect. He's dialed in his micro a lot. He's figured out his game plans. He's really understood the game a lot more. And so it's really interesting to see him make adjustments and pivots and decide when he needs to stick to the game plan and when he needs to change it. He's made a ton of quads already, and he's going for that Shroud at the normal timing. Defensively, placing his quads in case of a vassal. It's going to be a Kabbalist instead. And this is a very greedy, low military count build that Kasuga is doing. The Drakadon is positioned to stop a scout up the ramp, but the Nexus is going to be seen. And as well as the fact that there's only one worker. So this is going to trigger Jack Yalangsky to attack, which maybe is kind of what Kasuga wants, right? He's making the Kabbalist, and so he wants there to be very limited production, very limited combat unit on the other side. But can two Drakadons hold against everything else that's coming? A Vagrant, another Drakadon on the way. I would love to see a static defense structure. Maybe because the Kabbalist is going to go ahead and incidentally scout this. That could be a different story. He might actually be able to figure it out, and immediately he does put down a Matrix. Once you get up to 4 Drakadons, you can just take pot shots at these quads very, very easily. But he's already thinning the herd a little bit. The problem is that the Drakadons are going to need some support. Worker transfer coming. Probably the perfect timing right now, but Kasuga needs to be fighting with this. He needs to be fighting all together as they're trying to go after the Matrix. That's a lot of wasted DPS that could have been on the worker count. Zethracor's come in, but the Vagrant absorbs so much of it. And actually, just like that, the Kabbalist is going to go ahead and start cleaning house inside the main base of Jack. And we don't see too much. I mean, a lot of workers were killed. Not terrible, though. He's cleared out all of the initial defenders. There were some Zethrakors. Oh, Jack hasn't even noticed yet. This Kabbalist has killed, obviously, 2 Rillarokors, so 2 of those kills are kind of fraudulent, but 3 workers so far, and, well, there's a 4th, as well as the 2 Quas, sending Jack into disarray. He was pushing a Kagrant forward, but, you know, what's he going to do about it? He ends up losing a Zeth instead of a worker, which he definitely prefer. You don't want to lose the workers if you can, but that's 10 workers for Jack. That's all he has right now. A Kabbalist that's worth its weight in gold. Mostly for the distraction. Circuit is being made at Kasuga's doorstep. It'll be surprising to me if that lasts for very long, and the expansion is now coming online. If Kasuga didn't lose so many workers, he'd be in such a dominant position right now. As of right now, I'm not so sure that he's ahead enough to offset what I've noticed from before. It feels like Kasuga is a player, at least so far, that needs to be so ahead that he just kind of wins the game in one fell swoop. He hasn't been able to post a dub just yet, but I really liked his play. I really liked his idea. He just probably needed to cycle the workers back. Maybe they have the Drakadons up a little bit further forward so they could slow down the Quas. before they could actually get there, kind of distract while the Kabbalist did its work. Maybe a little bit more. Second Kabbalist has left the building and scouted the Circuit in the process. Sees that it's unguarded. There's a Matrix over here. I don't think that the Zeth drop will be able to do too much. And here comes the Circuit, trying to do some damage to the Dracodon, but it actually doesn't even break the shields quite. So, or maybe just a little bit. Got one last attack off before I clicked off. Didn't see it. Oh. Surely you see this, though. Does he? Does he not see the shimmer? It's hard to tell. Oh, yeah, the quads are starting to swiftly switch over to the main base. That's pretty unfortunate there for the Kabbalist to already be brought down so low. Well, maybe he can try to clear this Larvosk. It's a little bit dangerous because Jack obviously can take potshots at the Kabbalist while it's moving. Oh, no. Oh, if he waited to decloak, he actually would have killed that because you get bonus damage when you're attacking from decloaked states. That would have been a killed structure there. That's 125 gas to make that larva-producing creep colony equivalent, so definitely a good move. The Argosy is out. I'm sure Jack has clicked on that and figured out what it is. The Matrix definitely shows him. He can't really attack here, but... it was a nice idea. The Matrix restores shields around its target and itself when it attacks, so pretty easy to just keep sustaining the whole time. And an Empyrean is on the way, so Kasuga definitely respecting the presence of things like Calculusks now. Worried about the early timing that you can get to those Apex units at Tier 1. I like that idea. I didn't have like a formalized thought process for what I would call those units that you can get now. Like Ultra Core is definitely feeling like a bit of an Apex unit, but stuff that previously required tier ups in order to get. Backyard Knight asking about Twitch ads. You cannot disable those as a streamer. If you want people to be able to subscribe to you or donate to you through Twitch, you must enable that. Like you can't. I've set it to be as infrequent as possible, and unfortunately, that's not a good solution. I don't think the ad revenue is worth much. It's like I've probably made a few cents so far. It's pretty minimal. Well, this Kabbalist has definitely been hunting down quite a few units. It's already got several kills, and it can even pop this Larvosk on the way out now. I mean, that is just brutal. Jack is he's getting bullied. The Ovaleth is here. So that's a wrap for that. Yeah, I can take a look at the actual amount that I'm earning from them in a moment here. But unfortunately, it's not great. Double Embassy means that he can make more witnesses, as that's what he wants to do with them, apparently. Third base on the way for our Protoss player. I have YouTube ads disabled because I don't monetize the YouTube channel. If there was an option to partially monetize the Twitch channel, that would be what I would take. To answer Grass Eater's question in Discord. We do have an Ulgorg already on the way, so we are going to be able to see Ultra Cores. But Jack Alansky has been brought down into such a fragile position right now, I really don't think that we're going to get far enough in. You know, I guess if he goes for the Zozark, he might be able to deal with the Empyreans. He's making 21 Lyrilisks as well. That is a good number. A scary number. Do we have a Cantavus in this army? We do not. No Storm. I really think Storm would be great versus the Lyrilisks. They're a little bit too squishy for... You know, compared to... You can compare their durability to that of a Hydralisk, so Storm is definitely a valid target there. Third Empyrean has just finished. There's a Crucible empowering that Argosy. And now a Cantavus is starting, so I guess Kasugas are kind of thinking about the same thing that I am. Now, one thing to note is that the Lyrilisks have a much larger anti-air attack, a much longer range anti-air attack than before. And so they might be able to overwhelm the Empyreans, which have been armor shredded a little bit, courtesy of the Zor use. But now, with the armor back on, that purple debuff no longer on them, it's going to be a lot harder for the Lyrilisks to do anything. And there's the third Empyrean as well. A lot of the front line, gone for both players. Some of the Dracodens were also getting bopped earlier as well, but yeah, they just can't break the Matrix has been shield restoring this whole time as well, and reinforcements are coming on in. This looks to me like Kasuga is really giving himself a layup. Tier 2 on the way for Jack Yelansky. He's setting up a 9 o'clock fourth base. Finally saturated this third as well. Took a long time, and I don't really think that he's... Oh, I guess he's okay saturation-wise on the other bases. So yeah, he's kind of doing the best that he can with that. Witness tailing the Empyreans, making sure that Lakers can't just run away with everything for free. But these Lyrialists are getting melted right now. He's trying his best. He's making 24 more. I really think he needs some other tool. You know, he could go for something like the Tethvith Swamp, try to get the Viths out. Getting a more permanent debuff onto the Empyreans and spreading it across the whole ground army would be humongous. That's a thing that the Vithrilisk itself, the Devourer equivalent, is the only thing that can do it. And unfortunately, he has done an oopsie. He never busted this power generator, so his units that morphed from eggs have decollided with each other because they're bigger than the eggs, and now they can't actually escape the little vortex. Now he's been able to pop it. Artisans have been harvesting from the reservoirs as well. That's really smart from Kasuga. Remotely returning the resources. 4 Empyreans kind of caught in the middle of nowhere. Their shields are starting to get waylaid down, despite all of their armor. The Lyrialisk's really not a great choice versus armored Empyreans. You know, that's where you really need the Vith stack. You really need the maybe Nathracors or something, and a Storm as well. Oh, that's brutal. The splash damage from the Empyrean and the Cantava Storm combining to just really feels like run over this Zerg army. He's even trying to get rid of the ground forces, and that's where I think that the Lyrialisks really excel a lot of the time. At least versus this composition. You try to use them against the Vagrants, against the Dracodens. Yeah, the Lyrialisks will be alright. But you're trying to pump them up against something that's super well armored, their anti-air attack is not as good as their anti-ground attack. Well, threatening this 9 o'clock. Sikralisks are available now. And they have been reworked. They've got more armor pen, but they still need a little bit of help against Empyreans. I wouldn't necessarily pick them here. Like, these are good units versus stacks of air, but they're not necessarily good versus these longer range things. This is where you might think about the Protathalors. Jack Yelansky has gone for the Tozvril Haunt as a bit of a speed run, and he is absolutely going to try to make the Sovroleths. Trying to overwhelm those Artisans, but they're soaking up a little bit of the damage that should be used for everything else. Amaranths underneath Storm are sustaining themselves with their own attacks, finally being overwhelmed. The Empyreans still at large. If this whole army dies, it doesn't really matter whether or not Jack Yelansky is able to field those endgame units, the Apex at tier 2. But look at the Zoryus. They're taking so long to be brought down. The Rokor's absorbing so much. The Dracodon's not focusing them down. They're spawning so many Broodlings. And the Zoryus are just unstoppable right now. They don't have any lifesteal. That's the Ultra Core. That's what you get when you morph them. But it felt like they were immortal there. Here's some Cantavas to help out. Zealots, a couple other frontliners. He just needs to break this base. Maybe then he can be in a good spot. A couple Storms as well. They do limited damage to those structures. And, well, there's some Sovroleths that are available. They are going to need to watch out for the Empyrean Splash, though. Spray's trying to soften them up a little bit. I'm not so sure it's going to work out, guys. Yeah, instantaneous focus down. Those Sovroleths can be the Zerg super weapon because they self-replicate, but as of right now, I'd still be a little bit worried if I'm in Jack's shoes. My income seems to be off the charts. I've got 5,000 minerals and 1,000 gas. So maybe I should try looking into spending some of that, huh? On the side of Kasuga, he's adding an Ancestral Archives now. He's made a Synthetic Synod. I'd love to see some Empresses join the fray. He's got so many Empyreans, man. Sovroleths can be good, but is he really going to be able to do much like this? Good Storm onto those Sovs. That's going to be it for that stack. And the ones that were birthing from those eggs, not quite able to do too much. Yeah, try to stand over there to make the eggs happen, but the Storms are live. He's making so many, but is it even going to matter? They hatch and they take all the damage in the world. Oh, it's brutal. That was so many Sovroleths that could have been, and instead weren't. Great play from Kasuga. That's a tricky thing to pull off, man. The fact that he knew to storm the eggs, really, really good play there. Combined AoE, working wonders right now. Love a Clarion in this army, but no Ardent exists. Maybe a couple Heralds wouldn't hurt. sycophants out of a prostration stage. Now you're talking. The Guitarcore can't attack air units, so it's an anti-surface only. One of the rare times you'll ever see it, probably. But it can be pretty good. Not like that, though. It's not. That's not its use case. 1v1ing a static defense structure. Oh, wait, hold on. I was wrong. I forgot it has lifesteal. Yeah, good luck, buddy. Okay, he's going to be able to kill it. That's hilarious. So the Guitarcore stacks up an attack speed buff over time, and it has lifesteal. So, you know, if you can't kill it quickly, you're going to have a hard time. Sovereign's all clumped up over here. The Empyreans could target him down, but Kasuga hasn't noticed. Oh, he might get him anyway. Oh, look at that. Hit him with a charlatan. Clone those bad boys. You got plenty of quas, but are they really going to be able to do much of anything right about now? The storms are glorious. You can see the Sovereign's trying to lay the eggs. Oh, they're just getting eviscerated right now, man. Can't even finish gestating on the field. Looking like a false super weapon. Looking like a dud. What's going on, Jack? You got 10k minerals almost. He's still not really sure. Maybe the replay's broken. I don't know. Like, at some points, the replays can be broken. I was told that this was validated. That both players have a humongous bank right about now. And we are seeing... Well, that's a pylon. That's not an excess. That's not the replay breaking. That's just Kasuga's brain breaking, maybe. Yeah, I think now we're starting to see Jack start to try to spend his money down. His gas bank is a little bit lower, I guess. Kasuga is a bit gas-gated. This is a really scary composition here. Oh, he's trying to get the Guitarcores to do things, but I don't know. You're going to want to focus them down with the same Empyrean at some point. I guess just abandoning this position is what the idea is. Extra bounces from the Spear Tiths were helping out there for a little bit. Oh my god. No, they're fully stacked! Oh my god! And the Optecton, of course, can't get out because of the Crucible. Classic move. Poor Kasuga. Every time he thinks he's winning, some more bogus nonsense shows up and starts heckling him. What the hell? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so can you tell this unit was actually never made in a serious game? Because I probably would have maybe made some adjustments to it, but I forgot that it existed. Oh my god, what a brutality. But he's still going to be able to push in for a potential victory here. There's Ultra Cores and Zoryus, but... I mean, there's a Demiurge out, and any unit that dies near it is going to turn tail. That's what these Quasilisks have done. They've been mind-controlled. Maybe take some of those Guitarcores next, buddy. Green Eggs in chat earlier was asking about whether Ekistracores were considered Tier 2 or not. Yeah, the answer is yes, as well as the Tetkeracore. All right, here's the attack. Oh boy, the storms are good. The storms are absolutely phenomenal right now. The Tetkeracore, they need to be brought down. The focus fire seems okay. Synchralisks are trying to help out as well. Oh, the Demiurge stays alive, and now the Tetkeracore are owned by Kasuga. Look at that. He'll take your units. Thank you very much. That's a big swing, and all of a sudden, nothing left for Jack. He spent out all of his gas, but he still has so many minerals. Here's the Ekistracores, but I guess they're gonna... Yeah, Jack just wanted to see some infestation. He'll see it, I guess. GG. That is a wrap. Kasuga finally posting up a dub. I think Jack was just kind of horsing around at the end of that game. I really don't think... I don't think he was playing to the serious level of his capabilities. When I'm starting to wonder if the resources indicate a broken replay, but actually it's just the players being a little bit silly, I think you know what really happened there. Well, yeah, I think maybe we have some more balance tweaking to do after this replay set is casted, because we're finally seeing some units that don't normally get made. The Tetkeracore was briefly there, but also, for sure, the way that we saw the Guitarcore do things was wild. Oh, by the way, of interest to that person who was asking about ads, it does look like I can turn the ads manager off. I don't know if that means that there aren't any ads anymore, but you let me know if you run into another one. GG's dog lived. Lads, we've got 2 more games to cast here. Jack Yelensky versus Kasuga. Game 5 is now before us. Black Protoss in the bottom right is Kasuga, hailing from Taiwan. And in the top left, we've got Jack Yelansky, hailing from the Philippines. He is our... What color is this? Burnt umber. There you go. I don't know how I knew that one, but I guessed it. Sometimes it's a color statement of fact, and other times it is a color guess. And that was a color guess that I won. If that's not worth a donation, I don't know what is. Streamlabs.com/Pernigo if you want to support the stream. Looking for an ambitious goal of $50 a day as a small streamer, as a small indie streamer. But hey, we're also making some pretty cool stuff, so maybe it works out. Maybe it seems worth it. Gateway's on the way for Kasuga. I feel like overall the lattice-based strategies Kasuga was doing were working pretty well. But since he won that last game, he's going to re-up Gateway into Nexus before a combat unit too. I wonder why he waits. Like, if you're going to make it before the combat unit, isn't it better to just make the Nexus? I guess the flexibility of, you're not being six-pooled kind of thing. Anti-gambler. Oh, speaking of, I actually have to redo the prediction. Go ahead and make your predictions on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pernigo. Bump up our numbers. Get us noticed. A lot of people don't click on a Twitch stream unless it has 10,000 viewers. So, maybe we'll get there one day. I've joked about 10,000 viewers, like, you can't do that. I'm streaming to 10,000 viewers. That used to be like a bit that I would say a lot. So I do feel like eventually it's just fate. You say something enough, at times it becomes true. I guess technically it was true, because there was one time I was casting to like 11,000 viewers for Counter-Strike, so... I hope that doesn't mean I've already satisfied it, and now I won't get it in Cosmonarchy, but man can dream. The number doesn't matter. What matters is we're having fun. And the Zorka Shroud is already on the way for Jack, so we know he'll be having fun. Will Kasuga, though? I don't know. A lot of things are in flux with this patch, but I do think that some of the mid-game stuff is mostly where I'm going to be setting my sights on, while the early game tries to figure itself out. Oh yeah, we get to cast some Terran games after this as well. I've noticed that Kasuga really likes Drakadins versus Zerg. I wonder what's up with that. Guarding all the potential satellite bases there. Kasuga's third will be monitored. And it looks like there's going to be a Quaz drop. Sometimes Jack gets good value out of that. Oh, the Drakadins are moving across the map. They might actually catch the Ovaleth. Jack is not being sneaky about it necessarily. That's very conspicuous. I think Kasuga is going to come on home and see what he can do there. He's got a Matrix in both mineral lines. Actually got quite a bit of static defense investment so far. Wait, what? It's escaped containment! Run! There's another one up. Oh, there's all of them are up here. He doesn't even have any more. Oh my god. We just got a new coffee subscription. Thanks, homie. That is also a great way to support us via the coffee page, Pernigo, and Veek7. I'll get the Spider-Man. I love you, Jujik. Oh, the Drakadins are scrambling to recover from that onslaught in the middle And you can see this is where Quas really struggle versus the Dracodons, right? They are just getting torn to shreds. And without the Quas, it's easy open season to focus on the Lakers. Admittedly, we don't see a Witness yet, right? It's just now coming out. It's actually Grand Libraries and a Rogue Gallery. I actually really like the build here for Kasuga. And you know what? When you see nothing else really going on here, just kill the Lakers. Just kill him, man. That's fine. You can just walk up and reveal him with your face. Just like face tank that. Yeah, just get him. Well, unfortunately, he's not getting any help with it. He's like, hey, guys! And then the bull throws him off as he's trying to ride it. Just see you, dude. You should definitely deny this base, though. A lot of money in the bank for Kasuga. Kind of a lot of money for both players. Bit of a sloppy game. I do know that these guys play at odd hours because, you know, they're both from Asia. So the same similar time zones. But, I don't know. Maybe they're a bit eepy. Maybe they're a little bit sleepy. Looking pretty easy, though, right now, and sending in a couple of the other units. The Kabbalist has already gotten a couple of kills and certainly is sowing chaos and discord. The Hacharosk starting to be under duress. Wow, this looks like a completely different, renewed Kasuga in some ways. Wow, the Kabbalist's even going to get away! That's wild. Now, there is a pair of Quasilisks here, so he's dead. But, you know, at least he takes one with him. And finally, the Hacharosk should be canceled out here. Oh, it's not even going to be canceled. That is brutal. Amaranths are really good versus small numbers of Lakers because they will just shield steal any of the damage that they take. Very cool stuff there. Herald helping out a little bit. I don't know what happened to the Witness. But he's also just... I guess it died over here or something. He's also just kind of ignoring the very wounded Lakers there. Oh, no, there it is. The Witness is there. If that was there earlier, he might have just been able to win right then and there. But there are 4 Lakers still alive. Jack is trying to stay alive, making plenty of units. He's resetting out his Droleth, which... Okay, I guess. Fair. But the Dracodon, if it goes down, there's not as much ranged fire to try to deal with these Lakers. Ends up losing an Ecclesiast, it looks like. Or maybe it could have been any unit, actually. Heralds give you that movement speed buff. I think it's a mistake right now, given the game state, to let Jack off the hook. It was a pretty good early set of moves from the Protoss, but then he kind of just did nothing. You know what I mean? He did full kill the hatch, so that was good. But he was floating a ton of money behind it. I feel like his army could have been way stronger, way bigger. He's going to start cycling up in tech a little bit. A lot of Lyrilisks on the way, just about to finish. We don't have nearly as many armored targets, although the Herald is almost as well armored as the Empyrean. Its overall durability is less, and we've got Zoryus out to help deal with that. So that does feel like a little bit harder. You can see him focusing down those Zoryus, knowing that they are a pretty pivotal target here. I love that he cycles away from the Lakers like that. That was brilliant, and the Zoryus are so low, so pretty soon you're going to be out of armor rend in this position. The Witness just continuing to cycle around and see what's going on. Man, I would really like Kasuga to stick around in this position and try to sort of like trade for every inch that he's giving up. Take pot shots with your superior range. Deal with the fact that you've got flash shielding. You can sustain some of these attacks that are coming in. Well, here we go. Another cycle through, and the front line is out of position. The Lake is way more out of position than you would really like in this spot. The Heralds are definitely in a good spot right now. Maybe we could use some more Ecclesiasts or something, but the gateway is singular right now. Yeah, the production definitely needs to scale up. Look at the bank. Kasuga could have, like, 5 more gateways pumping Drax and Zealots. It would be a very different story right about now. Still, he's going to be able to focus down one of those Lakers. There's, what, 3 more? That's still a dangerous opportunity here. Although when the Heralds go down, that increases the attack speed. They go down in a blaze of glory. Transcendent Fall. He's got 2 more Lakers. Problem is, on the other side of the map, he's drolled up. So Jack actually, for a moment, doesn't have a very impressive military. And Kasuga has, to his credit, set up a saturated third base. Kind of undersaturated in the natural, a little bit saturated in the main. But, you know, pretty reasonable across the main and the third. Yeah, and Jack is only now starting to replace some of his army. This is a really big opportunity for Kasuga to reclaim his side of the map completely and just shove Jack back over into his corner. Maybe try pressuring that third base again. But Kasuga is ahead economically right now, and he has extra tech. He's got the Pariah coming, a second prostration stage, a Crucible to empower them both, I'm guessing. And some of these units are being mutated here, but they are not in the right spot, dude. I love the 1 Quas here. The Lake is Also in a position that tries to run up and just gets domed immediately by all the static defense. Very well played so far from Kasuga, I would say. Obviously, I was a bit critical of him kind of giving up the ghost in the early stages of the game, but he's reasserted himself. I guess I can't really say really well played when he's got 3.5k bank in the gas. Like, make some goddamn gateways, son. But, you know, maybe he could drop a Nexus somewhere as well, add more static defense somewhere. I'm sure it would be a possibility. Fourth base coming up here at 9 o'clock. Jack Yelensky also going for that Ulgorg. He doesn't have tier 2, so one thing that's underrated is that a lot of the times when people were making Ultra Cores in the previous patch, they were doing so through the Oxel Cesians. They were doing so through the larvae that were enhanced, whose whole purpose was just so that you could build up a lot of the units from the larva directly and not have to make that intermediary step. And you can't do that at tier 1. Jack is going to need to go tier 2 if he wants to do that sort of thing. But I still think it's a pretty good value proposition. A decent number of Lake is in the middle of the map, but I think this army kind of just doesn't really care too much about them. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Jack's army is not very impressive compared to the Pariahs, compared to everything that Kasuga has set up over here. But is Kasuga going to use it very well? Maybe the answer is no. Pariah already down to half HP. There's no Cantavis, and there's not really any crowd control outside of the Pariahs, so I am a little bit worried here. I would love to see a little bit more action coming out of Kasuga, but he's just allowing Jack to push forward further and deeper into the map. Still, these Lakers are dying before they can really get much off, and the Pariahs, they're not focusing down the stacked air. That would have been a perfect choice for them. Instead, another one comes down, and it's just going to get focused immediately, and that's it for Kasuga's army. He gave way too much ground at these last stages, and only now is he cycling through the casters. Maybe there's still a chance for him. Charlatan cloning a lot of the damage. The storms are absolutely delicious. But there's so many more ground units where that came from. If the Pariahs, if the Heralds, they were still alive, the armor would definitely help them against things like the Lyralisk. But the storms are really, really good right now still. A lot of workers are going down, but you can maybe kind of hand-wave that away as Jack hasn't actually saturated his extra base. And there's still 5,000 minerals in the bank. This is heartbreaking. Kasuga could have so many more combat units to try to deal with all this chaff if only he spent down his mineral bank. And he could have expanded a lot sooner as well. Looks like he's going to stake his claim with tier 4, the Demiurge. We saw that turn so many Zerg units in the past, but there's not as many melee units this time. It's going to have to get into an enemy position in a very different way than before. And even now, though you've got the Cantavis for the storms, you don't really have any high-range units to deal with these Lakes. Witness spying 9 o'clock, but it's only now getting saturated. The Irolyra starting for tier 2, and we did see some Ultra Cores finish up earlier. Great storms. Once again, Kasuga is regularly performing very, very well with those. Gonna need a little bit more effort, though. The Ultra Cores can't really challenge the Demiurge, but I suppose if they just sustain so much, and there's not really that much damage to just break them. Oh, no. He can't get his units out. That prostration stage is not a cheap structure, guys. Kasuga's base layout has definitely sold him up the river a few times. Last game, it didn't matter. But that is rough. All right, where's the storm at? He's going to have to use it with those Cantavis. He's got 4 of them going. They're definitely doing the job initially. But I will point out that these Ultra Cores, they refuse to go down unless you can focus them down. And the storms are not going to be enough for that. You need actual combat units. It looks like Jack Yelansky has overwhelmed Kasuga, who still has not spent down his thousands of minerals. I agree with hit him up, even though Alexander is the one who said it. Make unit win game. He can't even kill a single Ultra Core. It's almost 10,000 minerals. He's finally queued down some stuff, but it doesn't matter. It's way too late. GG. Or not. You know, you don't have to call GG. But that is a 4th win for Jack. Yeah, no GG Kasuga. I could believe it. All right, what's going on in chat? Jujik was asking about higher percentage on coffee. So coffee is split between Veek and myself. If you're supporting the streams, I'm getting like 90% or 95% out of the Streamlabs. So that's why, like specifically for the effort of streaming, that's where we're going for that. But yeah, it's also a little bit less fees because the coffee has to go through coffee and then PayPal, and the Streamlabs just go straight to PayPal. So a little bit of a crash course for you. Indeed, EP was mentioned. What's going on, Cauldron and Jujik, and hit him up. And I thought there was somebody else that I didn't say hi to earlier, but it doesn't look like it. Hope you guys are having fun here. We are about to cast a final game between Jack Yelengsky and Kasuga. So let's see what's up here. Kasuga in the top left once again. This is all the way back to the first 3 games. He finishes where he started, the Black Protoss. Jack Yelengsky in the bottom right. He's our Zerg player, and I have no idea what color he is. Let's see. It's not beaver, because it's a little bit too pinkish. Is it liver? Ooh, Persian orange. Dude, I haven't seen that color in, I don't know. Last time I looked at my beard. Don't ask questions. I am looking at the way that Jack has gone for every single game this way. It has been Larvosk, Pool. And then, you know, he does some other stuff with the macro, but he goes for that 13 Shroud. I don't expect him to change. But will Kasuga go Gateway Nexus again? Because he was in a winnable position, but I guess he's just not used to having that much money in the early stages of the game or something. He just decided to not build a lot of production, even though he had almost 10,000 minerals at the end. Wild scenes. I think if Kasuga tightens up that kind of build order and just plays with spending his money, you will see a very, very scary player. I guess he's already kind of scary because you don't really understand him super well. You don't really know if he means, like, what does he mean when he says remove Protoss? You know what I mean? So these are some thoughts that I have. These are some questions that need to be answered. Pool about to finish here for our Jack. And for our Ooga, as opposed to Yuga, I am expecting more Dracodons. And he isn't going for that Nexus, so let's see what the follow-up is. I liked the Gateway Nexus Rogue Gallery. It was a little bit chancy because of the fact that the Quaz went across the map and started pressuring him. But now Jack isn't really scouting as much, at least not as early. The Dracodon is actually moving across the map to deny that kind of thing. So I think that really helps him out. Matrix defensively in the mineral line, that doesn't feel like what you want. I don't like that. What is he worried about? The pool is here. It's not like he's going to have to deal with fast air or something. I wonder if he thought this was morphing into a Vornath, because if he did, I can see why that would be a concern. Oh, you think you're being like Zeth Vorvalind or something like that? But putting the Matrix here so fast, that doesn't feel right. Even a fast Sedent, that doesn't feel great. But minus the Matrix, yeah, actually, I could see an argument for that. Now the Dracodon's going to arrive and immediately be sent off because there's way too many Quas to actually deal with that, but... oh, hello. Goodbye. Jack is surprised that didn't work. Is he going to remember? Oh, not quite. They don't seem to be too kind to each other. But that's okay. Second Dracodon on the way. Might be able to pop that Zeth on the way through. Yeah, it is on attack move, so that's good. Denying the scouting for sure. He's really testing Jack right now. Like, hey, man, you want to unburrow a little bit? Embassy on the way. It's good because you need that detection that you can get out of the embassy if you're going up against the Shroud anyway. And Jack always goes up against the Shroud. He always puts that out there. It's so silly. The whack-a-mole, the peekaboo. It's a lot of effort for killing one unit, right? So Kasuga, meanwhile, is floating a little bit of money. He could put some gateways down if he wanted to. I love that he's prioritizing Storm again. I think he's realized that Storm is really working out well for him. Oh, whoa.
Stormu.
Stormu indeed. Thank you for the $20 towards the goal, Jujik. Appreciate you, man. Now we only need $30, and we'll have made the goal. Isn't that fantastic? Plus, we got that $3 subscription earlier from somebody. Shout out to that guy. Now, not focusing down the Zoryus is a little bit of a whiff here from Kasuga. Oh, there you go. He does end up getting it. Definitely feels better now. There is an Avaleth with 6 claws in it, but the static defense is pretty absurd, honestly. Okay, we are finally seeing Kasuga's Storm Drop in action. I thought this worked out really well, surprisingly well, versus Ziki. I wasn't expecting Kasuga to have the APM to kind of split, and I also admittedly was expecting Ziki to staunch it really quickly, but, you know, you can't always be a pro, I guess. Unless your name is Prodogo. Still no witness, but it is on the way. And still kind of trying to dance around here. Not really going to be able to get too much value out of this drop because of all the static defense. And the Matrix is a real MVP here. But here's the Storm Drop. Let's see how fast Jakulansky reacts to it. And the answer is not fast enough to avoid 5 workers going down, maybe. I see 4 corpses, so a 5th one might be on the cards later. And of course, the Avaleth not quite able to get anything done on the other side. Yeah, oh yeah, this is going to be way more than 5 even. Love it. Well, obviously, the Zerg can deal with this because they can just make a bunch of workers again, but the lost mining time, the worker kills, the lost income while you wait for your workers to come back, that's a really big deal. Double Grand Library because Kasuga once again has north of 1,000 minerals at the first 6 minutes of the game, and he needs to spend that. If you turned this into units and structures, I would feel so much better about his position. But even despite that, he is undoubtedly in a winning position right now. My concern is his ability to convert it into an actual dub, because he has kind of been getting bopped a little bit. All right, here's the witness. Spotting it out. Yet another drop. Good reaction time there for Jack. If it was moving, it would have killed a couple more workers. Instead, he ends up scoring 3 of them. But still, that's 3 workers and a bunch of lost mining time. Might force Jack to think about expanding just because his workers are there. It's pretty convenient, right? Static defense now being set up. Oh my god, Jack hasn't actually started mining again with most of his workers. That's unfortunate. Trying to set up his defenses instead. 12 o'clock being taken by Kasuga, and his Argosy is already on the way too. Wow! Okay, so the Grand Library is not just to leapfrog for Tier 3, it's also so that he can make a lot of Amaranths, which I agree with. I think that's actually a really good choice. If you look at what has been so problematic for Kasuga in that last game, it was the Lyrilisks, right? Because he didn't have really heavily armored targets. Well, Amaranth can help with that, and you can make a lot of Heralds. The fact that this Storm Drop gets more kills, honestly, Jack is definitely dropping the ball here. But we have to get excited a little bit for Kasuga. Oh my god, he's killing more. 15 worker kills, and this is despite, I'm pretty sure I saw Nathrakors be made. Yeah, that Envoy is supposed to be dead. Is it actually? Oh, if he actually kept moving and accelerating the whole time, he would have been just fine. But on the counter side of it, that's going to be a dead lake is in the drop, so I guess you can just say, haha, like Kasuga's drop did way more damage. 15 workers, shut down mining for so long, forced Jack into an uncomfortable position where he has less money than he's used to, and certainly less military units than he's used to. The snowball should be complete. On the other side, it literally didn't affect Kasuga at all that there was a drop there. It died before it could even get out of the transport. Second embassy, I think we're going to see some artisans later on for those reservoirs in the middle of the map, which makes a lot of sense. These Drollets are still not mining! Jack, you've forgotten all about them! Check the mini-map, Jack! Come on, Jack! I forget who said that, some movie star. Well, we've got 3 Grand Libraries pumping nothing but Amaranths. This is a really scary army. And no, I'm not talking about the streamer. Although, I guess they are kind of scary. Is there a witness with this army? Yes, there is. Okay, so the Lakers shouldn't be able to get too much damage dealt here. The Amaranths are definitely going to survive it. You can see them just, their shields kind of start filling back up. The blue bar underneath their bar there. Yeah, that's a big deal. Hey, GG's Green Eggs, thanks for hanging out. You watched it just enough to see that Kasuga is dominantly in the lead. When you come back and ask how he lost it, maybe somebody can answer. Calculists are on the way. That might be a route back into the game for Jack. We don't actually have any matrices in this upper base. And we do only have 1 at the natural as well. The first Empyrean, I believe it was sighted. The second one all the way as well. So, yeah, I think Jack is aware that he's going to be dealing with Empyreans again soon. He might need all hands on deck just to deal with that. I don't think he can send these Calculisks on an attack path. I mean, what is his anti-air otherwise? It's just Quaz. He doesn't even have Lyrilisks, which we saw were not very impressive the last time we saw them. And these Amaranths refuse to die. The Calculists will certainly try to change their mind about that. And some Lyrilisks are being made. We don't have any more Storms, so there was only the one Cantavis. But the Empyreans should still be good enough here. And look at these guys, man. The Amaranths are in such large number, and they are refusing to die right now while the Empyreans clean up. The Lakers are dead. The Calculists should be end up falling here. Although, the Draconans are going to have to do some pot shots at them. But look at the Amaranths. They refuse to die. They refuse to capitulate. And that is a wrap for all of the Air Force. Sure, Jack is making a lot more units, but are they going to deal with this army? I think the answer is no. Even though Kasuga has a ridiculous bank, yet again, this is still going to be a very, very good position for him. He even brought a scribe, just for, you know, moral support. I like that he stops attacking the Hatrosk, basically when the Hatrosk is dead. Thankfully, his Amaranths will finish the job for him. No! Kill the Hatch! Oh my god. I can't believe Kasuga would do this. How does he not just kill it? It's so easy. Just shoot it. One salvo from the Empyreans, please. No, don't leave. Oh, thank goodness. Wow. I was actually getting concerned. Cycling back to the third base. Resaturating it with the workers that he's made so far. Got some Wardens. I don't think that the Zets are going to be able to do much by themselves. Even with the extra Zets over here, I don't think they quite would have been able to do it. Devastated. Oh, the Empyreans are trying to... Did Jack really make Nathrakors to kill Empyreans? Dude, what universe am I in? I know I saw, like, Zeke try to make Naths to deal with Skiths, because I don't think he realized they did splash damage. Or maybe he thought he could, like, spread them out or something a little bit. It was a teachable moment, right? But what was that? Come on, Jack. You know better. All right, double hatch, plenty more Lyrilisks on the way, but I really don't think it's going to help him too much. He has to counterattack while the Empyreans are elsewhere on the map. Maybe try to force Kasuga into a rough position where he just refuses to kind of finish the job. Ancestral Archives on the way. That was the gas bank spent down. I would really love to see some gateways, dude. Well, 2 out of 3 scribes were killed, but there is another one. Oh, look, a 4th and a 5th. He's just rallying them down now. Makes a lot of sense, actually. A random Empyrean has been spotted. Hi. I would like to kill you. But can I? That's the question Jack is asking. Going after the Ulgorg. I don't really think the Ulgorg is going to give him too much value. I guess you can say that the Ultra Cores can help, but I don't think their DPS is enough. Not in the quantities Jack can afford them in, right? Remember, he hasn't been mining from his third base this whole time. And here come the rest of the Empyreans. We're up to 6 of them, so that's a pretty big deal. And the Amaranth count, even though it never continued to balloon in the scale that we were hoping for, because obviously these Grand Libraries haven't been pumping this whole time despite the Mineral Bank, they are still very much a threat for these units that are struggling to clear them. Now, the Zoryus are helping out because of the fact that they spawn those Rillarocors, the Broodlings. When those things die, they spread the Acid Spores, the purple overlay that rends armor and lowers attack speed. They spread that to nearby enemies. So that is why the Lyrilisks can be okay versus Amaranths, in, like, depending on the context. But now we've got Tectons coming. We've got a Unitary Union on the way. I'm sure we're going to see some Vibrances. Static Defense, yeah, I guess he's going to have to deal with that. Good cancel. He only has to remake one of them. But now the 12 o'clock is definitely in danger. I think he's only seeing it just barely. He can try to catch this army. Yeah, I guess, honestly, if he tries to wrap around this army and, like, force it to commit to the attack, it will be held up by the Static Defense a little bit. The workers are probably going to die. He should evacuate those, but Kasuga is playing it very calmly right now. And he'll just reset the construction and the worker count as he needs to. His army is just so much more powerful. All right, for the first ever time in Cosmonarchy history, for a casted replay, we are seeing the Zozark Gorge be made. An expensive structure, unlocking the Zobrielisk and the Zarkavrakor. Both of them can be very useful versus Empyreans. My concern is that Jack does not have the income, the economy, to actually make them into something that works properly. Like, they do need a certain critical mass. And remember, he's still on tier 1 this entire time. He does not have access to the... He does not have access to, like, Oxel Cesians to just get straight to him. He has to make the Gorg first, and then turn them into the Zark. But he's banking on being able to overwhelm, in one fell swoop, the giant air stack and try to deal a lot of splash damage. But the Zarkavor themselves will splash up, will ball up, and be splashed by the Empyreans. I don't think this is the right move, but maybe he can try to do some counterattacks as the Zarkavor are more mobile. Rotating over to 9 o'clock, there's a Crucible empowering some Wardens. I don't think that's going to slow them down too much. But it does look like Kasuga is roving in that direction. And he's even actually going to catch some of the Zarkavor. So that's a really big loss here for Jack Yelansky, it feels like. And yeah, I think Jack has realized the Empyrean stack is way too high. GG is called. And the last game goes the way of Kasuga. So at the end of the day, a more respectable scoreline than we were thinking it was going to be after the first 3 games. One head scratcher where Jack had 10k minerals and didn't spend them. A head scratcher where Kasuga had 10k minerals and didn't spend them. But at the end of the day, that last game, that was pretty good. I'm glad that we got a chance to cast that series. All right, all right. Well, I think you lads and lasses know what's going on here. We have ourselves... What else do we have anyway? We got some more replays. I don't remember what day Shopkeeper Dog's games were, but I'm sure that it was recent. Yeah, Shambo's talking about a free-for-all that I have to cast at some point soon. Ooh, okay. All right, guys, I know I said that it was going to be the new patch that we were working with, but the Ultra versus Shopkeeper Dog games are actually on release patch. So this is before the Terran add-on changes. And, of course, before all the other ones, because that was the first one. So I am a fraud, but this is the No Frauds Club. So we're allowed one fraud, because then it's not plural. That's what some guy in the comments section said one time. So I give that idea to him. Thank you. Thank you, Guy. Shopkeeper Dog plays Protoss in this series, because, you know, TVT is not fun for him. But we do finally get to see some Terran action, so I'm excited about that. Even though it's not on the new patch, I still am excited to see some Terran action, and I'm excited to see Ultra play. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you. Thank you. Big shout out to Jujic for the $20 towards our goal. We only need 30 more. That's 10 threes. 10 people could donate $3, and we would be there. Can you believe that? Remember, streamlabs.com/pronogo. Best way to support the stream. Yeah, just one fraud. Again, that's allowed. Other 12 YouTube viewers. Yeah, and the 6 guys on Twitch or whatever. Oop, that's not the right one. I almost watched a very different game. Oh, cool. We get to play on Watchpoint. That's a StarCraft 1 map. Yeah, all right, let's do it. Okay, we're getting into a series of games between Shopkeeper Dog and Ultra. I think I was told to cast 2 games in particular. We might cast all 4, but I'll probably just cast those 2 because I am running up on time for the casting section. And I know that because my throat is doing a thing. Prime subbed? Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I wonder if, should I still count that sort of thing? Let's see. It gives me an estimated revenue, but I have no idea how much money is in my account right now, so that's a funny one. Oh, okay. It's actually pretty close to a spendable balance. Or something. Who knows when it'll be done. All right, lads. Let's do it. Forget about all that stuff. Shopkeeper Dog opens up the first context I see him talking to Ultra with. It's not too different. He must be talking about the map. Because it is a port of Starcraft 1. This is a port of Match Point. Commissioned by Hit 'em Up. Shout out Hit 'em Up. All right. Ultra is in the top right. That's Ultra, the StarCraft 1 Pro Terran. And he is our midnight green? No, just dark green Terran. In the bottom left, we have Shopkeeper Dog. He is playing as Protoss, and he is our Ultramarine Protoss. He's going for a gateway. We've got Ultra thinking about maybe making a fulcrum, it looks like. Yeah, okay. All right, Ultra. He already knows. He's got 3 workers on gas, which is a little bit excessive. But he's getting there. He's doing things. Very cool. Very cool. Little side disruptor in the middle, animated by Darkened Fantasies. Shout out to that guy. As well as power generators on either side. These are just here so that you can blow them up if you want like more impactful fights in the middle of the map. Kind of opens it up in the mid game or late game, depending on when you do it. I haven't seen too many matches on this map, so I am looking forward to this particular one. Have to see if they are good. Oh, it looks like the second game that we're going to cast today, by the way, is on Crisis Vector, so I look forward to that as well. It's kind of funny to me that he is named Ultra, by the way, but he is, of course, a Terran player, not a Zerg player. So, you know, that's all well and good. Fulcrum is done. Go straight for the Vulture. In fact, don't you think if you named yourself Vultra, like V-U-L-T-R-A, that would be pretty sick for a... That would be pretty interesting, I think. For a Terran player, Vulture. Oh. Give us that Pro Micro Ultra, come on. There you go. Yeah, it's true, Dog lived. Ultramarine. Pretty good there. Pretty good there. Has he seen Legionnaires before? Probably. He played against the AI a little bit. Well, the Vultures are going to go ahead and lay their mines. I don't know how familiar Ultra is at the end of the day, but I saw him on Twitch. He was streaming some TVT against the AI, and he basically had beaten them. It was on... oh, what's the... Apollo. It was on Apollo. He basically beat them, but he kept getting his ground army attacked by diadems that the AI made in their base. So, big shout out there. This is a mechanic you won't expect. So, mines only detonate on, or target actually revealed units. Either detected cloaked units or uncloaked units. And the Kabbalist has just walked right over the mines. So that's going to be a little bit of a concern. Let's see, the Vultures are just going to come in for a drive-by. They're ignoring the Hierophant for the time being, and they're just going to go straight after it. But, all right, now we've got the Kabbalist. Shopkeeper Dog is going to have to try his best to find some impact there. And the Cyclops will deal friendly damage, so, like, unsafe damage. But 4 Vultures is very, very good right here. See what Ultra can do. It doesn't look like the Masons haven't really been endangered so far. That's a lot of dead workers there for Shopkeeper Dog. Holy moly. Is it really this simple for Terrans? He even kills the Kabbalist in the process. It's that simple, man. You just drive Vultures by the Protoss army and start killing their workers. Wild. Well, looks like he's already found the Ancial and the Cyclops, so he is going to be using that. Starting to make Cyprians as well. He was making a lot of bio in the game that I saw. Oh, man, a man after my own heart. 3 workers on each gas node. I would definitely recommend saturating fully the minerals a little bit more. Like maybe 18 workers or so. But that's all right. Now, Shopkeeper Dog has a second Nexus, so he can try to stay alive that way and just kind of rebuild his worker count. But yeah, I agree with the pylon idea. That's a good one. Oh, he's made a Trojan. Is he actually just going to drop Cyprians in his first game versus humans? Has he already figured that one out? That's pretty sick if so. I know he's watched a lot of the games, so that's a possibility. Dude, Cyprian and Cyclops drop, right? Right? And he's bringing the stockade somewhere? I have no idea what he's doing with that. That's wild. He's going to move out with this Cyclops stack, as well as the Ancial. Drop a Ministry. Have the Trojan. And he ends up just moving the stockade a little bit. Okay, I thought he was going to like move that to the ramp or something. I didn't know what he was doing. I was on board, though. Zealot stunned, so the Cyclops will be trying to heckle it down. I honestly haven't seen Cyclops versus Protoss in so long, especially gateway units like that. Since Smarty Cakes took on Nebulum, I think was the last time I saw a lot of Cyclops against Protoss, so that was really funny to see for some reason. So here he goes. The drop is coming in. Oh, the detection also helping out versus that Kabbalist. Let's keep track of how many workers we had. It was about 24. They were even in workers when this started, but look at that massacre. And Ultra just keeps him entertained on the other side long enough that even though he's losing the Cyclops, he still looks like he cleared the Kabbalist. 16 workers for Shopkeeper Dog. That is not enough. Not enough at all with the Ministry almost coming up. We've got Madrigals. Last time you'll see double Palladium, by the way. Unless the AI breaks or something. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is so brutal. 12 workers, by the way. You know when all the time Shopkeeper Dog shows up in these chats and he's like, 20 minutes in, 10 workers. Yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite, too. Oh, doesn't quite get those kills, though. That's unfortunate. I wonder what he's gonna... Is he gonna deploy the Madrigals? Yeah, okay, Ultra actually knows his stuff. I know that might sound like condescending for me to say, but like, you wouldn't... Like, you have to actually play with the unit and figure out that, oh, it has that aspect to it, right? And look at this, he keeps almost 14 workers on his... Ultra's actually playing the game, dude. Hold on. This is his first game against humans, according to what Shopkeeper Dog wrote in the chat. And what I think what Ultra told me as well. Like, you can see there's some growing pains that are to be had, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, man. If Ultra's practicing nicely, maybe that'll convince Boneth to practice. And if Boneth is practicing nicely, maybe that'll convince Hawk to practice. And then we'll be in a really good spot. No Phalanx. He's going Madrigals instead, which is really interesting. The Cyclops are doing so much damage to the Vagrants. Kind of wild. Obviously, the Cyprians are just going to get bopped in the process, but still very cool. Got another Trojan. Might be considering more drops. Triple Rogue Gallery, a Prostration Stage. Yeah. Looking good. Looking real good right about now. A couple Cyprians and a couple Mavericks on the way out, but the Anchor, it will actually be interrupted. Still, they can't get after these Madrigals, dude. They are not able to finish the job on them. Shopkeeper Dog still being held at an arm's length. Would love to see a repair onto that Madrigal there, but alas. Probably going to have to repair the Anchor first since it is notoriously on fire. There's the drop at the Natural once again. All these workers are going to go down. I don't think a single one will escape. Yeah, that was brutal. Oh, it looks like maybe one of them will. with 7 HP. Oh, there's nothing over here. Oh, jeez. GG. Shopkeeper Dog has to concede. I seeded Ultra and the secondary slot, because even though he's a pro player, he's new to the game, but maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe he's the favorite. Hard to say. It's hard to confirm one way or the other. But I know one way we can do it, and that's by going to Crisis Vector one more time. I hope you guys haven't had too much Crisis Vector in your diet today, because we are going there for our last game of the day. Before we move on to our development phase after a short break. Here we go. Ultra in the top left, he is our red Terran. And Shopkeeper Dog in the bottom right is our dark green Protoss. So, that last game was on a Brood War map. It was won by a Brood War player. This game is on a Cosmonarchy map. Will it be won by a Cosmonarchy player? These are questions. Questions that need answers. I do think that overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that I've seen some of the changes in the meta take shape. I do look forward to when we have a couple more Terran games in the mix, because I want to see some TVZs. I want to see some more TVPs, of course. Oh, we have a couple ZVZs between Godweed and Cannoli. I'll cast those in the next little bit of time, because it won't be like today, but I'll cast those probably Monday, since that'll be the next time I'm on, because those are going to indeed be new Zerg games, right? Like new Zerg patch. So we'll cast those, and then whatever changes I make today and over the weekend, we'll get games on the, that patch as well, and see if there's any replays that I want to go ahead and do. Regardless, Shopkeeper Dog moving up here with his Scribe, scouting out that it is a stockade. Oh! I didn't even really clock that because I was too busy talking about other things, but Ultra going Bio. Bio mech. Okay, he wants to do stockade into Fulcrum. This is Starcraft 1 style, right? Stimming the Maverick already? I think he knows his stuff there. Ooh, clothesline. I've been playing Peak with my girlfriend a lot lately, and in that game there's an energy drink that after you drink it makes you sleepy. And I'm now trying to because I've been playing that game a lot, my brain is making connections between that and what I'm looking at right now. And so I'm just imagining Mavericks just guzzling an energy drink, and then after they're done, they're a little bit eepy, a little bit tired. Hey, not all fools drink energy drinks. Or should I say, not all people who drink energy drinks are fools, because I'm no fool. Wink. So, the 3-gate into Embassy is an interesting build from Shopkeeper Dog. We'll see if he has a particular idea in his head for that. Palladium. Progressing. Is Ultra going to go for a Phalanx Maverick timing? That could be really sick. I would be on board for that. But I do think that Drakodins make the Mavericks a little bit difficult. Double Hierophant and a Zealot. Yeah, you can deal with that with enough Mavericks. Although I will note Ultra is actually banking a little bit. He's not making anything out of the Stockade. I think he just wants his Phalanx. No! Oh! Okay, it is a Phalanx. I was going to say, he's actually going Magical again. That would have been wild, because I don't think that would have worked out at all. But one of the reasons why I think it was working out last game, besides the fact that it was in a defensive emplacement, is that Shopkeeper Dog had some Hierophants, some Drakonids, etc., but the Cyprians were actually dealing ranged damage, so that in order to come up to attack the Madrigals, you had to already be taking damage. And we do have one Cyprian here. Pretty good range there. Remember, it's actually +2, so the square is more like here-ish that you can shoot at. So really hard to entry there because of, or no, it's +1. So the square is about here that you can shoot at, and so it's very, very powerful there on the cliff. More Cyprians, more Phalanxes. And he is going for a Starpad. It's like a 1-1-1 build, basically. Starpad on the way for most likely a Trojan. They'll probably skip the Anseal. Last time the Anseal was just there for detection. It wasn't really being used for shielding, I noticed. Ultra wasn't really on the micro that way. Making a Wraith. No, he cancels it. Trojan. Okay. Fat Finger. Makes sense. Where's the stim on those Mavericks? Doesn't look like it's necessary. So this is going to be a 4 Cyprian drop, and then he's probably going to try to move out with the Phalanxes and the Mavericks. Ministry on the location, or rather to float over. And the Witness is here as well. This is kind of brutal, because he's going to see everything. Shopkeeper Dog should be in a much better position to respond to this now. Anseal on the way. Maybe he saw the shimmer. Maybe he just wants to make sure that he isn't being spied on. Pro players do see the shimmer a lot more than I think scrubs like us can attest to, can compare. But it's always good to have it be a possibility. Yeah, he sees it. By the way, where did the Trojan even go? Did he cancel it for the Anseal? I'm so confused. He is going to pop the Witness with it, so I guess it might have been worth, but I thought the Trojan was really close to being completed. So that's kind of wild if so. Yeah, we don't actually have the drop coming. Artisans out from the embassy. The Ministry does indeed complete. Adding more Fulcrums. And Mavericks are in the back, so I guess Shopkeeper Dog is just going to go ahead and try to respond. He's got 3 Draconans parked over here to try to deal with the Cyprians if they come in for the main. The Natural's obviously cordoned off here. Ardent Authority on the way. I wonder if he's going to go a Canto drop or if he's thinking something else. I don't really know how Shopkeeper Dog plays PvT, even though he's probably played more PvT than TvT. It's just one of those things where he doesn't... I haven't actually seen that. I haven't seen enough of his games. Double Matrix does make some sense here versus the Cyprians. Hugging the edge here. The Draconans are not going to leave the building, but he will be able to respond to this really fast. Not so many workers here either. Needs to scoop those up, and he loses 2 of the Cyprians, and now, yeah, this was pre-planned. He does end up finding a way out. That's really important. If you can keep the Trojan alive, it makes your future drops a lot more accessible. You might need the Starpad production for something else. You might just want the resources towards other units. Got himself some nice Phalanx counts. Goliath's on the way as well. I'm not sure that he's scouted enough to really see what's going on, but the Ardent Authority was not seen, and the Prostration stage just went down now, well after the fact. Now this looks more like a modern patch day. Come on now. But there's the second Palladium. I would love for somebody to be like, I only build Palladium units and base units. I never interact with the crap yard because they just never knew that it was scrapyard the whole time. There was an S there. If you want S rank, you build scrapyard. If you don't, crapyard. I guess you could say that to like differentiate between players of certain skills. Like, call it a crapyard because this guy stinks. You can see that Shopkeeper Dog has been clearing out some of the middle of the map, particularly the power generator on the side of Ultra. Just trying to make it easier for him to migrate over and move his army through. Secondary drop is a little bit far away. Yeah, I guess he might be... Oh, wow, the Matrix actually helps out so much, dude. That's wild. If he still had extra Cyprians, like if he saved that third one, he would have been in a good spot, but it's an Ancestral Rush. This makes a lot of sense. Of course. Of course Shopkeeper Dog is building up Tecton. Hey, thank you, Wheat. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back. Welcome back to Twitch this time. And Ultra is definitely doing a little bit of a different style, but he is making his third Ministry. He's adding more Fulcrums. Kind of recognizing how much money he's got and how many units he can still keep making. Does make a lot of sense. I don't think he's got what he needs versus Optectons, though. I think that's an uncontroversial statement. Like, Ultra's doing all of this stuff with his base layout. Trying to get himself into a good spot. And then Shopkeeper Dog's out here like, yeah, but what if Optecton? Can you beat Optecton? Wild stuff. Double Antseal doesn't suck versus it, honestly. And I think Unsieged Phalanx in enough amount. We saw that have some success versus Neblime on this very map. And then Shopkeeper Dog spun around the map. Never forget. This time around, he's on the flip side of the matchup. Should be easy dubs. Oh, he's going to do it even worse to him. It's not just a normal Optecton. It's a Malefactor Optecton. Mind Tyrant on the way. A lot of Phalanxes. I will give Ultra credit. He's made a pretty large army. He's actually dwarfing the Protoss army, which is not normally what happens even in Cosmonarchy. He's going to wipe the Artisans on that side of the map. And then immediately cycle back. Is he going to be aware that the other side is probably populated as well? Because denying him the extra Vespene would be useful, although at this point, Dog has a gas bank, so... He made Optecton. He made Mind Tyrant. He malefactored Optecton. Quake in your boots. I want... This is the only Crisis Vector replay that was posted. So Ultra really is just like, I don't know what this map is. Oh, you can harvest from there? Let's see, he's got his Madrigals deployed, and they are soaking up a little bit of the damage. The Dracodons also were spending a lot of time targeting the Antseals. Only now is the Optecton actually engaged in the fight. But I think this is going to end very, very poorly for Ultra. I didn't mind his siege location, but he did not have the front line that he needed to deal with all of the Dracodons in the back line. And honestly, I don't even know if the Optecton did that much. Now it's doing a pretty good amount, but I mean, you know how it is. Ooh, bombed. Just like that, Shopkeeper Dog gets to play with Palladium units. Third base now coming online here. See the big worker transfer out of Shopkeeper Dog to his third, so certainly ahead economically. You can tell by that, by the worker count anyway. Looks like some rallies never got set. Are they going to be now? Yeah, well, not this one. This one's all lonely down here. Workers being pulled away from their watchdog positions, trying to saturate that 12 o'clock. Fourth base, about halfway complete right now for Shopkeeper Dog, and he'll just keep making workers. Make worker, make unit, win game. He's got some vultures out, and I would love to see him lay some more mines, honestly. Because this is a pretty lazy clear that Dog is doing. He's not really going after, you know, clearing the mines very energetically. He doesn't have a witness with him. So I don't mind Ultra's pivot in there. He's making tier 2 now, but he did not make enough phalanxes, in my opinion, in my estimation. He definitely needed more. I think he needed a third add-on. Which is something you will never hear me say in the modern path. Well, I won't say never. If somebody makes a redundancy add-on, but they lose both, I'll say, yeah, he needed a third add-on. Mind Tyrant too far away to enchant, so the Optecton is just an ordinary one. Some good mine connections in the back there. Unfortunately, the phalanxes are still getting shellacked. Oh, I was wondering, I was like, where are all the other units that Ultra made? But I guess he doesn't really have that many. His rally's a little bit kerfluffed. An inglorious end, it seems like, for our homie, our pro player. GG is called. Shopkeeper Dog will take the game. And I can reveal that from what Shopkeeper Dog told me, I think the other games were even more like, kind of like that, but even faster, where Dog was just able to win, probably without the Optecton. Ultra, learning the struggle, but we will give Dog his flowers in that acknowledging his wins. We're also going to go ahead and say, hey man, you're new to the game and you still bopped Shopkeeper Dog in that first one. I'm going to give you some credit. He is one of our best players. I didn't think I would be saying that about Shopkeeper Dog when we started Acropolis 3. We have some more chatter as Shopkeeper Dog was playing against Arbuz. Maybe there's some more replays there later. Apparently, Arbus is still gaming right now. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I heard. Somebody once told me. All right, perfect timing because I am about to move over to a break screen where I will be returning as soon as I am done using the restroom. I'm going to put the countdown timer on 8 minutes. You might see me sooner. You might see me just a little bit later. In my expert analysis of this game, Ultra played better, but then up Tecton. I feel like if his Madrigals were Phalanxes, I didn't hate the Madrigal inclusion. I think if you're going up against a lot of Zealots or something, it makes more sense. But I do think that the Phalanx count was much lower than it needed to be for that Dracodon count. And so that's probably like a weird tension point. Because they both come out of the same structures corresponding to each other. You make Fulcrums, and you make like either Madrigal or Phalanx if you have the Palladium add-on. And then when you're talking about the gateways, you make either Dracodon or Zealot, right? Like you can make a few different combos, but that's one of them. So anyhow, that is where we are going to leave it for the time being because I have to use the bathroom. And when I come back, we'll be doing some development, bug hunting, trying to find ourselves a couple of cool bits and bobs that we... Oh, wow, it's actually pretty late. I think I'll probably go for about an hour of dev, which is way less than I normally do, but we're going to do bug hunting, so it shouldn't take that long. I might do some balance tweaks for the Zerg, since we saw some interesting things in the mid-game today, Jack versus Kasuga. Very grateful for those replays. All right, see you guys soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are just about ready to kick things off here for the development section. It's a little bit shorter than it will be in other streams, but nonetheless, we are going to have a good time. Get some bug fixes done. First, I just want to make a couple of Zerg tweaks. I'm going to kind of take a look at some of those Apex units that are now available at Tier 2 and see what we can do about those. Really enjoyable games today for the casts. I'm looking forward to seeing even more matches. Later on, we'll do, like I mentioned on Monday, we'll do Godwheat versus Cannoli as the opening, since those are like the most recent. As of right now, they will be the oldest current patch games, even though the patch here is going to change some things. So we will see how that shapes up together, but yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. All right. So first off is because you're not paying the Tier 3 tax on the, Tazral Haunt any longer, we are going to go ahead and bump the cost of those. I think that's fine and fair. Here, let's keep track of our changes in the patch notes. Coffee Stream Bot has a great idea. Visiting the coffee page. Very nice. We already got a $3 dono from there today. A monthly subscription from somebody whose username I do not recommend. Or, recommend. Do not recognize. I think it was like Spas or something like the weapon, Spas. S-P-A-S. So I can't really say anything about the quality of the username. But, pretty cool. Cool guy. And of course, Jujic donated $20 towards our $50 daily goal. Still got about an hour to finish that one up, so we shall see. Oh, it was 500. It's true. When you donate, you get a really nice looking beard if you want a beard. And if you don't want a beard, you get a really nice looking face that isn't a beard. You know how it goes. That's honestly not that much of a bump. So I might think like 400, 650 instead. Oh, it was supposed to be 650. But yeah, I think 400 is making more sense to me. Hey, what's up, Skates? How you doing? I see, you're doing Todd. Understood. There'll always be more, as it seems. I never thought I would have to nerf the Gitor core, honestly. I didn't think anybody would ever discover that unit. But to be fair, this does get pretty absurd, doesn't it? Oh, you might be right about that. I haven't really been looking at faction stuff for a little bit, but I'm definitely going to be doing that pretty soon. Like, definitely sometime next week. Okay, hear me out, guys. What if the Guitar Core more or less keeps the same attack, but can only attack air units? Eh? I think that's an moment. I think that's pretty Yeah, of course you think the unit is as perfect as it. Of course you do, Zerg player. Top Zerg donator. Of course you do. I like that change for the Guitar Core. Oh, I guess the Sovereign-Leth's been confused for it. So I feel like the changes make sense for like the tier 2 Apex stuff. I think tier 3 stuff like the Gazithalor, the Alcagilisk, the Cascathalor, the Axtoth Axis units, they're gonna feel a little bit underwhelming because the Oth's Lava Form really only unlocks them, right? Like, it also unlocks the Othsteleth, but nobody uses that. Things will be a little bit different when the Malkothra is added. I'll start working on that next week as well, I believe. I should probably have like a list of things that I want to work on next week in general. And maybe have like a rolling page somewhere that people can see what's up. Because if I keep saying, I'll work on that next week, and then I'm like either forgetting stuff that I said, or I remember everything, but it's way too much work for 1 week, that would be really funny. It was pretty cool to see like Tekarikors come out. Obviously, when you get the Almakis, you can also make a Thraitholeth, so that's awesome. Do I need to change anything else about anything? Maybe. Perhaps. I think that's it. That's all I really comes to mind for the Zerg changes, so as far as like balance adjustments and stuff. Okay. Sending a couple of important messages. I just recalled. Right. I feel like besides the small changes that I've made, I have made a couple of tweaks to the AI. Maybe some of them will end up improving things. All right. I think it's bug fix time then. Yeah, this Eblileth shit, I don't know why that happens all the time. Oh. I finally found one that I know how to fix immediately, which is nice. We're going to pop into the weapons dat file. Fix the Tarask targeting saying air. Oh, maybe we're not going to. Why does it say I can target air? Oh, I wasn't even looking at the right thing. It actually was that simple then, okay. I started programming stuff with no need to do so. Oh. Alright, Shambler reported some issues with the ice tile set, apparently. Little bro came home and gave me a can of A&W ice cream sundae, and damn, it do be tasting like ice cream sundae. Oh, okay. I don't know what A&W... Oh, that must be root beer or something, right? Cream soda, got it. I will see you next time, sir. Thank you for all your support this week and in general. I will certainly enjoy seeing some games. If you play any, you post the replays. I will cast them. You know how it goes. GG's. Oh, I see what he's saying. Oh. Well, that's a weird one indeed. Let's go and see if we can track down when that originated. I can't believe Arbuz was playing Terran. That's wild. Alright, we're just going to check out one more release version, and then we'll know where the bisect is. Okay. So at some point we broke that. But how did we do that? It was for the 17 update. I'll see you tomorrow. Sure, yeah. Maybe. Never know. Okay, so they're broken here. But it's broken in a different way, I noticed, so that's funny. No, that's like a race-specific UI change we decided to make. I guess at some point we should allow it to be configurable. We'll work on that a little bit later. Oh. Maybe it's this. Yeah, I mean, eventually it being configurable, I think is fine. Like a cool idea, in my opinion. I don't actually remember what this does exactly for stats panel. It might be related to the energy thing. Let's see if it has anything to do with the bug that was reported by Jakulansky about the Solarian. Doesn't happen to vultures. Seems like it's still busto. Well, maybe DF has an idea anyway. All right, we're going to see if we can bump the Cyprian movement speed just enough to make me a little bit happy. Yeah, I guess that's probably not too much. There was something that I saw that was... I had to scroll up pretty far to find it, but I'll get it eventually. It's funny. There's a couple of mendacity related things that I have to edit for fixes as well. Let's see. Huh, it says mendacity here. I guess that doesn't really feel like an issue or a thing that I would do, that I would overlook as a problem. Let's take. Yeah, it is. Funny. All right, I think we actually covered all of the issues that were reported, I believe, since my trip. So that was actually really easy. I thought that would take a lot longer. Once we fix these, we should be in the clear. Oh, and we have to use the... migrate these replays over. this and put it in the... Go to enumerations and find the animation 11. Walking. I guess I never even made an entry for an iScript entry for the Oxel Cesiant because it was pretty similar to the other one, but right. Fix that. All good. All right, I think that fixes that problem. There was another issue that I just remembered. I had to follow some weird reply chain. Okay, apparently we go to... Let's go to our Brood War modding tools folder. I guess I was using PyBin more recently. All right. So here we have for audio visuals, fix, corrected. What up, Shambler? Coming in towards the end of the stream here, but I hope you're doing well. All right, we won't be able to fix the Solarian icon bug until DF gets back to me about something that needs to be corrected on his end, like for code that he wrote. But we've made adjustments to the Cyprian, to the Gitora core, to the Tazrahant, the Trokril Chazal, and the Amicus Anter. And we are also pushing a couple of other bug fixes, including some iScript errors and... Oh, that was another one. Fixed that. Message. Was there? I feel like there was something else that I fixed, but I can't remember. Scroll back down to the bottom. Something about mendacity I fixed recently. Adjusted some AI stuff. Okay. All right, lads. I would say it was a successful stream, a successful day of work on Cause Monarchy. Finished off our first week of streams, steady on. Today's stream was a little bit shorter than the others, but we still did a lot of stuff. We casted a lot of cool games. And we got some good progress made on a couple of key details, adjustments based on the games that we watched. So I'm going to go ahead and send that up. Doesn't jump scare when you resub with Prime? Are you sure? It's supposed to. Doesn't look like it went through, homie. That is fraudulence, all right. On your part. Baited me. Yeah, my stream manager tells me when somebody, like, subscribes or follows or whatever. We got a follower today. It was Doglib. It was very cool. It does also say that you are a subscriber for 2 months. So... that is an XD, but it hasn't shown up on my side. Now, isn't that just a bit silly? Right, it was 1 month, now it's 2 months. Well, I appreciate the resub, and the resub is on Twitch Prime, I believe. It's Tasteless saying, we've got Zerg here. So, hopefully that reenactment was satisfying for you. Maybe I can force it to play it for you. Find out. Yeah, it didn't show up on the stream, unfortunately. Anyway, it's silly. There is no... Nice. Beautiful. Well, maybe you'll catch it on desktop next time. I will catch you guys later. We had a great set of games casted today. Very awesome. And pretty good and epic things that we ended up changing for the game, in my opinion. We're going to go ahead and mark our work as done for the day. Bug fixes, done. Zerg changes, done. Cyprian buff, not even on the table, but it was there. Done. See you guys. Well, tomorrow is D&D, but the day after that, it is Weekend War with the new patch. You'll definitely see me in the Discord server. And GG's all around. Thanks, Jujic, for the 20 bucks. Thanks, Spaz, for the $3 a month on coffee. Appreciate y'all. And see you guys next time.